Hola Tankers! This February, things are heating up on and off the battlefield. From fiery battles to sweet rewards, here's what's happening in World of Tanks PC this February. I'm Commander AF, and this is Watt Monthly. This February, World of Tanks celebrates the Year of the Snake. Dive into Serpentine-themed missions and rewards during the Lunar New Year 2025 event. Earn event marks, visit the cat shop for exclusive treasures, and slither into action. Check the portal on February 5th for event details. As Onslaught Season of the Crimson Manticore continues, get ready for another fiercely competitive and always exciting season of the Onslaught Legends Series. Throughout February, watch the top teams in Europe compete in 7 vs 7 OLS matches as they battle their way to the top of the Season 2 leaderboard. Show your support by watching the heart-pounding action unfold live on Twitch, claiming drops and earning OLS tokens all along the way. Streams will be available in various languages on a variety of channels, with 100% of proceeds from OLS bundle sales going towards the prize pool. For my pals in North America, get ready for the Onslaught Legends Finals, which will be streamed live on February 22nd and 23rd. Two things I can guarantee: adrenaline-packed matches and mystery drops will be enabled. And don't miss the Onslaught collection in the Wargaming store. It's got everything from tumblers to t-shirts, so you can really show your love for the game. Frontline returns February 10th for 7 thrilling days of dynamic 30 vs 30 battles. During Episode 4, every time you load into a Frontline battle, you'll be faced with one of 3 unique battle scenarios, thanks to the Dynamic Battle Scenario system. You've got until February 16th to show your might on the battlefield and level up your rewards. February is for love notes and sweet gifts, and our partners at HyperX have got more than just your X's and O's covered. HyperX and World of Tanks have joined forces to transform your mechanical keyboard into a Watt masterpiece with exclusive 3D printed keycaps. Load out your escape key with miniature 3D printed replicas of the Tiger 1, Barask, and Sherman. Looks just like this. So cute. And Wattify your spacebar and WASD keys with Watt's iconic orange and black brand colors. Designed for mechanical keyboards with MX-style switch stems and sold exclusively in the US, these customized keys combine style and functionality to showcase your passion for the game. Now for a sweet gift. Check out the Love is Key giveaway for a chance to win the full collection of exclusive World of Tanks HyperX keycaps. Click on this link here and enter by Valentine's Day. 5 lucky winners from the US will be randomly selected and notified directly by February 21st. Though the Love is Key giveaway is for US-based players only, to bring a little extra sweetness to everyone's day, I'm talking to you, EU, APAC, and NA servers, I'm giving away the Love is in the Air 2D style to my top 10 favorite love notes. To enter, write a short and sweet love note about your favorite tank and post it in the YouTube comments below. Just be sure to include your in-game name and server in your comments so I can send you your reward. And for another sweet offer from an extra sweet partner, fragstore.com is helping spread the love this Valentine's Day too. February 7th to 15th, shop their site for some sweet World of Tanks swag and save 20% when you use this promo code at checkout. In other news, the Railgun and Element Surprise modes will make their triumphant return during the upcoming installment of Arcade Cabinet. February 28th through March 2nd, enjoy a fun-filled weekend of sniping and surprises as you earn random rewards like credits, boosters, and Watt Premium account days. Tally-ho, Tankers! Gear up for the ultimate hunt with Boosteroids monthly boost rewards. This February, stalk the battlefield with the William Foxwood Commander, mark your territory with the On the Scent decal, and track down other in-game goodies including gold, a Tier 8 premium subscription vehicle, and experimental equipment. With Boosteroids cloud-based gaming, you can stay on the prowl anytime, anywhere. Subscribe and link your Boosteroid and World of Tanks accounts by February 28th to claim your prize before it slips away. All right, as you can see, World of Tanks PC is the perfect cozy companion this winter, so cuddle up and roll out, Tankers. Happy Valentine's Day, and as always, thanks for watching.
It's time to ring in the Year of the Wood Snake properly. Prepare for new discoveries, because Lunar New Year boxes are your ticket to tons of handy resources and vibrant 2D styles. which, of course, look best on tanks from the boxes. In any of them, you could find one of 8 premium Tier 8 and 9 vehicles, including the Škoda T56, one of the most desirable premium tanks in the game. Yes, now you too can deal deadly 1-2s. The AAT-60 is futuristic and compact with good armor and a great gun that's a joy to fire. Although it has a serious rival, the gun of the Alt-Proto AMX-30. Thanks to a stat boost, this vehicle has become even more desirable. The WZ-111 Model 6 is a jack of all trades. A good balance of armor and mobility makes it comfortable in any situation. The Meal, decorated with bows and teddy bears. This cute little tank mercilessly mows down enemies one after another. The Gonzalo will give you what you want. Need to farm? Grab some standard shells with good pen. Want an extravagant firework display? Load Hesh shells. The Object Kust is a covert ambush master. Your patience always pays off with it. Concealment, suspension, penetration, and devastating damage are the qualities of a pro sniper. And finally, the newcomer, the Tier 9 Kampfpanzer Erich Concept 1. It's an apex predator in the form of a medium tank. When the Erich sees its prey, it accelerates to 65 kilometers per hour, and that's without turbocharger. While most mediums are only arriving at the flanks, the Erich is already opening fire. Up close, the gun easily hits its mark on the move, while at long range, it aims in a couple of seconds. Standard shells give you 270 millimeters of penetration, so there's little need to load special ones. The Erich Concept is a professional sniper tool that's not for hammering nails. If you use it right, the Erich will gift you hundreds of victories and millions of credits. Just like any tank in this collection, Lunar boxes are the best way to ring in the Year of the Snake fully armed. The new Onslaught season brings the same much-loved competitive battles, with a few improvements. The 5 weekly missions no longer expire at the end of the week, but remain available until the season finishes. You can complete them later and play at your own pace, but try not to leave them all to the last minute. Instead of increased shell resistance, completing all missions will get you a token that you can exchange for any improved equipment. The team lists now have more info. You still won't be able to see unspotted enemy vehicles, but now you can see players' names, platoons, and ranks. All this info is available both during battle and before it, on the loading screen and during pre-battle prep. Redshire has been removed from the Onslaught maps. Tundra and Prokhorovka have been added. And the latter has changed notably for the mode. Countryside engagements are going to be heated. Outpost now has more cover, and some of the points of interest have moved. We've also rebalanced the role skills. You can see a full list of the changes in the article on the game portal. It's now far simpler to assemble platoons in Onslaught. Instead of rating points, the game now checks players' ranks. You can invite a player one rank higher or lower than you to join a platoon. For super platoons of 7 players, a difference of 2 ranks either way applies. Incidentally, it's now a little easier to reach the highest rank. Now, not just 10, but a whole 15% of players on the leaderboard are legends. After battles, don't forget to claim your rewards. The banner in the in-game store will remind you. It will take you directly to the Onslaught shop. Fight in this season to get closer to the annual reward.
the Stinger. You can only get it in Onslaught, so make sure your Tier 10s are ready. If you don't have many, use this season's rental vehicles, the T110 E5, Centurion Action X, and Bliskavica. Happy onslaughtering. We had a rip-roaring good Christmas and New Year, but winter is about to get twice as exciting. This update brings a new twin-barreled tank branch, crucial rebalances, fun-filled celebrations, and glorious rewards. But first, a reminder about Battle Journey. If you still haven't checked your achievements from 2024, now's the time. You'll get all the juicy details about your tanking career, which you can share with friends. It's a good idea to ponder the past if you want to prepare for a prosperous future. And now, onto what that future has in store for you. Don't miss the new branch of British twin-barreled heavies. They're enticing, pretty powerful, and quite different from their Soviet double-barreled cousins. The latter have auto-reloaders, firing 2 shells one after the other. When both are reloaded, you can fire a salvo with a delay and a penalty afterward. British twin-barreled tanks are a different breed of cat. They're like 2 cyclic tanks in one. One with low alpha damage but good accuracy and mobility. The other with devastating damage but reduced speed and much wider dispersion, albeit with perfect stabilization. This means that in salvo mode, the aiming circle barely widens while moving or turning the turret. The salvo fires instantly. No need to spend time aiming or holding the necessary key. It takes 2 seconds to switch between modes after pressing X. You can switch on the move, for instance, when approaching an enemy. It's best to spend most of the battle in single fire mode, since you can move faster and fire accurately and effectively from long range. But when an enemy comes close, X, 2 seconds, left click. Remember that to fire, tanks from the new branch need to load both barrels. So, after a salvo, you'll have to wait through double loading even if you switch straight to single fire mode. Changing the shell type also means loading both barrels. All tanks in the new branch have this mechanic and general concept, but each has its own little quirks. Get to know them all and find new favorites, not just at Tier 10. But the main attraction is the can opener, which splits apart armor with salvos causing an average of 840 HP of damage. Its own thick armor lets it engage in duels and make the most of those salvos. Steel never fails. The gun depression is British. The mobility is typically heavy in single fire mode and super heavy in salvo mode. The can opener isn't just strong and reliable. It's a vehicle that can adapt to any situation the battlefield presents. It can hold both positions and attack, fire accurately from long range, and let rip an 800 HP kaboom. The can opener is about big emotions and combat performance. All vehicles should be exciting to research, not just new ones. And that's why our work continues on the Tier 10s you know and love, and their branches. This rebalance is going to be a heavyweight. The E100 is a decent enough tank, but a little update won't hurt it. The turret front is now stronger, and its rotation speed has increased. The 12.8 centimeter mouse gun has been improved with less dispersion and better penetration with the standard shell. The Type 71 has gotten a bigger overhaul. It was impressive on launch, but not powerful enough to face off against meta vehicles. Well, it is now. This heavy samurai's katana play is now more precise, and it moves around the battlefield faster. Plus, the upper glacial plate is far sturdier now. The M5Y has received
Onslaught Legends Series Season 2 is here. And you can make it truly special for participants and yourself. Boost the prize pool by predicting with team bundles. If your team wins, you can upgrade the included style to a shiny golden version. Contribute now. Hello there, and welcome to the first day of the second phase of OLS Season 2. Today I'm joined by the one and only and wonderful Morph. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Key. It's been a minute since I was last on the broadcast, all the way back on day 2 of Phase 1, so I've missed a lot of games since then, but that has given me the opportunity to assess the pecking order rather than just sort of blindly making predictions.
Alright, that being said, we did track your predictions throughout Phase 1, so the game is on. That being said, the game is also on for the OLS itself, and as you can see, we have only 3 matches today, but all of those are going to be best of 7s as 2 teams, Bobbers and Ping, have been knocked out. We are going to kick it off with quite a cracker here. First of all, the play days, though, as you can see, we have a Tuesday, the 11th of February today. That means roughly halfway point of the entire season.
Yeah, of course, and moving into Phase 2, this is where the big boys come to play, right? This is where you gotta go big or go home. The best of 7s will really get to see who are the top performers in the league. Best of 7s give you more of an opportunity to be consistent rather than getting knocked out by a fluke win in a best of 5.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've had quite a few of those. I think best of 5 is such a volatile and small matchup, obviously designed in this way that we do see a few upsets. We are going to see less of those now. First of all, though, here's what you can see. You can see here, my goodness, English
Only
is hard today. Only for a second, but you could see what you can get in the token store. That is obviously in-game. And currently we are at 71,125 euros for the OLS as total prize pool. As the disclaimer indicates, that one's only gonna increase. And thanks to you, dear watchers, because every single bundle that you buy, the proceedings of which, 100% of the proceedings of which actually, do fully go in towards the prize pool, which means they do go back into players' hands. And obviously, I mean, there is the All F as well, which we'll have on February 22nd and 23rd. That's going to be ongoing. Prize pool there is set to 15k. So on those last 2 days, where I think you're joining as well, we're going to have some nice action from across the pond.
Yeah, and I'm sure External, the Bald Eagle, will definitely have his eye on that one. But first match of the day, it's going to be Hit and Run versus W in a best of 7.
Yeah, Hit and Run versus W. I think there is quite the long-standing rivalry to be had between both of those teams. Hit and Run, obviously the back-to-back violence, speed, momentum WCI champion. W, a team that has, in the past, made some incredible appearances. First of all, we can see the Hit and Run roster, a lot of them still in their WCI jerseys, haven't switched since then, I guess. But yeah, Hit and Run with quite the weak start to OLS Season 2, but since then have managed to recover.
Yeah, but that's pretty much how it goes for them, right? They had the exact same story arc from last year, where they actually lost the exact same team in the opening round against Darkside. For whatever reason, Darkside just seems to be the most powerful team on day 1 of the OLS, and then it just always goes downhill. But yeah, this matchup between W and Hit and Run, whatever form it is of international lineups, let's be honest, the Polish powerhouse pretty much always gets the better of them in the end. But W have had some pretty good form at the start of this season, so maybe things are going to turn around. Community predictions, of course, always going to be favouring Hit and Run, the household name with the star players that have been there and done it before.
Yeah, one thing we should mention as well on the lineup of W is that we have a player addition. We do grant a mid-season player change to all teams, not all teams choosing or electing to use that one. W did, and Strala has been switched in for solo. So yeah, keep that in mind. Don't be like wondering why is that name there all of a sudden. Everything is going according to plan for both teams, actually, because both teams have made it here, and in the total standings, both teams are fairly healthy. Obviously, the biggest and most important goal for both is going to be reaching the playoffs, which do mean yeah, essentially prize money. And for W, that was narrowly not possible last season, but this time they're on track, and now we do have player comparison, or rather player stats here coming in for Brainbreaker, recent addition for W, but I would say his addition definitely an improvement for the team. And on the other side, very well proven DJ, both of them above 3.3k damage. That is quite a lot, and for both of them, main tank actually E100.
Yeah, so doing over 3k average is pretty good, because normally we only see these kind of stats from the guys who play the Inspire tanks, the Sente X's, the Gorilla 15s, for example. So the fact that these guys are both averaging over 3k, and they both have like pretty good pen rate as well in those E100 1v1s, trying to snipe at the weak spots, and the newly buffed turret, of course, makes it a bit more difficult.
Yeah, and the E100 as well, having, you know, not the best of APCR pens actually for tier 10, making that buff turret even more important. I still have yet to see an E100 with a big gun being played, maybe to counter that meta a little bit. And here in the studio currently, Phil was shaking his head at me a little bit, but to be honest, he was doing the same thing in Season 1 when I kept yapping on about the Tessak, and that one came to play. So let's see how it goes. Maps, however, and this is where we get to the itty-bitty gritty of it. Hit and run. Yeah, banning out Airfield W, not wanting to play Cliff. Then we're going to start on Ensk. We are headed into Pilsen. And obviously this is a best of 7, so there's a third map before the tiebreaker, Himmelsdorf. So 3 pretty much city maps actually between those two teams, and tiebreaker would be Muravanka. Pretty quick maps once again, I think.
Well, it is Onslaught, of course, so pretty much every game is going to be fast and furious, apart from Airfield, Airfield being the one major outlier there. Interesting that Hit and Run pick Ensk. They've had 100% win rate on it so far in this season. In the past, it wasn't such a good map for them, so interesting that they've gone in that direction.
Yeah, Ensk is going to be an interesting one. Also, if you've paid attention to Super Test news, there are some interesting additions slash changes slash who knows that's coming to it. So keep your eyes on that one as well. But for now, we have the good old Ensk with the Onslaught changes. That means tanks can traverse through the middle of the map, through the rail tracks, as the predictions do come in. And we have a full hit and run prediction, actually. You're saying it's going to go to tiebreaker. Phil and I, the German duo, with a 4-2. And Daki all the way from Vienna telling us, nah, this one's going to be quick and easy for hit and run. It's going to be 4-1.
Yeah, Daki not really having much faith in W. I mainly went for tiebreaker hit and run just because I was going to put 4-2, but then I saw that you and Phil both went for it again. And every time I go to do my predictions, I have the exact same line of thinking, and I go to put in my score, and I'm thinking, how am I ever going to beat Phil or you, Key, if I keep predicting the exact same result? So I had to go in a different direction. Just
put them in earlier. That should help. But yeah, here we go. Lineups coming in, and we do see, I think, a shift of meta really kicking in. Hit and run, double 50B, triple E100, double Foch B.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by this at all. My experience in the Onslaught random queue has been a lot of YOLO Foch B. It's definitely come much into its stride since the Juggernaut TD nerf, so out with the old, in with the new.
You're talking, of course, about the playstyle, not about YOLO the player. But yeah, here we go. W sending their super heavies in towards the rails, and with the triple Foch B, 1-2-1B, obviously Inspire tank coming out there as well. They're sending it towards the field, and I think Hit and Run kind of copying a little bit what Cashback have been doing so far, sending triple super heavy throughout the city side, 5-line, and then double Foch B together with double 50B hit squad in the city. And now the tanks are going to meet around about at the cap. The strike has been taken by W, however, so cap is not going to be an issue for them for the time being. Right now, Hit and Run, a few of those tanks out of the fight.
They are out of the fight, and look at the Foch Bees from W. They're coming in from the north of the map. They flank all the way around, and they're starting to focus south, but they're going to have to delete these guys quickly because the Foch Bees from Hit and Run are coming back in from the other direction.
Indeed, the Foch Bees from Hit and Run hitting like a truck, but the W Foch Bees have already unloaded most of it, and they've managed to take one of the Hit and Run players out of the game. T-Sec now trying to lead the charge with that Foch Bee already regenerating HP as the strike does come in. It's gonna hit home on towards, I believe, Itox. That was a Hit and Run strike, as we do see still 7 players for W in the battle. T-Sec now trying to evacuate on the long reload. Jackfa with that 1-to-1 B all the way away from the red line is able to pick it up. That was Itox though, and Monster also reloading. This one shapes up to be a W victory.
Yeah, and Jakov is a very critical tank at this moment in the game, just constantly inspiring his teammates and putting out the DPM in that 1-to-1 W. They just pushed a little bit earlier. They were able to flank around the north of the map and Hit to Run just not quite ready for W to flank that fast. And W still with over 10,000 HP remaining on their team, so a very good start for them.
Yeah, W hit completely snowballing out of control for Hit and Run. That are the purple players, and now Ketsai on the long reload. Kind of an awkward interaction because Klurf, same thing for him. Does Klurf have the ability still is the question, because Ketsai should be able to take him out in one clip. Doesn't seem to be the case here, as Ketsai bounces one uncharacteristic misplay, but now Klurf able to shut it down. Franek given up already, and W are going to lock in round number 1.
Strong start from the international roster there. I'd love to say that Jakova did a pretty good job the way he positioned himself in that game, because he wasn't committed, so the Foch Bees from Hit and Run were never able to YOLO into him, because ideally he's the first target, right?
Yeah, ideally he would be the first target, because he's like a tank providing continuous DPM, providing continuous Inspire, but he did a good job of essentially being able to keep his gun in play while keeping his platform, so to speak, out of risk. So good job by him here in the first round. And for Hit and Run, I think the biggest problem was that their hit squad through the city of the double Foch B, double 50B was out of the game. While, you know, the tanks from W were already able to clip out on towards those super heavies. And we were kind of questioning, like, at the end of phase 1, because Cashback has been doing the same strategy that Hit and Run employed time and time again, like, how are teams actually going to be able to counter this? Well, seems like W have found a way.
Yeah, W had the read, and I think, like you say, that push through the city, normally it works because you're able to catch at least 1 or 2 guns, and then the rest of the team is forced to come back over towards the other side of the map, right? But obviously W, they didn't leave any tanks there. They fully committed through the north. There was no stragglers.
Absolutely, and we do see the battle results / the numbers coming in, and Ketsai here together with Franek top on damage. But that was just because those 50Bs weren't really getting focused, and to be honest, I can see why that would be the case, because the 50B, yes, it gets reload reduction in the clip with the ability, but regardless, the entire clip reload is still quite long, so the DPM in a 7v7 shootout is going to be rather limited. And on the other side, we do see the tanks that were in the thick of it, with the double mouse being very high up there, and Jakova with that 1-to-1 top on damage. That just underlines what both of us were saying after the battle already. He was able to keep his gun in play while his tank was not in danger, and that is exactly how you want to play those Inspire mediums.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing is that the Foch Bees from both teams are near the bottom of the leaderboard, because ultimately they're just serving up as a distraction, right? They just want to go in, do a clip, and just allow the rest of the team to play the game. They're just leaning into it even more, right? We've gone from 3 Foch Bees, and that worked really well. So what if we just take another one?
Well, first of all, let's take a look at the Hit and Run lineup that are leaning even more in towards the super heavies. Triply 100 together with 1 mouse. We do see, interestingly enough, from them the Inspire medium as well. So Ketsai with that 1-to-1 B together with double Foch B.
Yeah, it's very 1-to-1 B. Of course, they picked W, just picked it in the last round. So Hit and Run picking that one up, but W's lineup is very committed, right? If the Foch Bees don't find impact early on and get some free picks, then these German super heavies are going to slowly just ground them out.
Yeah, exactly. The first clips, as well as the first engagements on those first bees, are going to be crucial. I mean, they are such a nimble yet squishy target, those first bees. You want to send them in to take damage so they can heal it again, but you don't want to send them in too far that they just get blown up. That being said, though, W this time with the hit squad through the city, they're going to take 2 points of interest. Some damage being taken, good position by Pantsfury is going to give information as well. So Hit and Run aware of what's happening, and they're able to profit in the HP department. You can see W already starting to bleed. TSEC having activated the ability with no real gain to show for it. That's a bit awkward, but then again, so far Hit and Run able to hold the city, and they have found the jump on towards Itox, it seems.
Yeah, Clerf just there waiting for TSEC to get a bit distracted, and now TSEC takes a lot of damage, but he does manage to pull back into cover, at least for the time being. In the meantime, Frugo has gone down in his Fosh Beam, Monster torpedoing straight into him, and Clerf returning the favor here. Fabi needs to try and pick up this kill. That's Jackiford there in the Center X, but he doesn't manage to find the shot, and TSEC still alive at this point in the game is a bit of a disaster, to be honest. And now Tarxia picked up in the middle of the map as well. He's in a 2v1, not much for him to do there.
Yeah, big strike coming out from W, but possibly too late to salvage the situation as Hit and Run only lose their first tank now with only 3 players remaining on the W lineup. So Hit and Run finally able to keep those players in the game here. You can see Monster was able to survive up until now. And Ketsai bouncing a shot on Jackifar, but not when it matters anymore. As Clerf is able to pick up DJ, but it's not really going to make it close because Itox at this point in time is going to lose the 1v1 against Franek. And that means 2 furious rounds on ends are going to end with the map getting completely split. It's going to be 1-1. Yes, Clerf is going to get hunted down. Good HE shot by Ketsai here. And Hit and Run are going to equalize it on, I believe, their map pick.
Yeah, pretty strong rounds from both teams here. The Fosh B meta, I think W leaned into it. Just they went a little bit too crazy with the amount of Fosh Bs, and the way Hit and Run were set up for it. They just soaked up the pressure. Like I said, they had so many super heavies, and they were all in position, cross-firing each other, protecting each other. So there was no free pick for W at the start.
Yeah, and I think that is very, very important to keep in mind. Like, if you pick 4 Fosh Bs, that's absolutely brutal when you face it, but you need to find that engagement first of all. And if you don't, then, well, this explosive engagement that you're going to have is going to turn right into your face because your own Fosh Bs are going to run out of steam and explode themselves. And that is exactly what we saw here. Brain Breaker, normally a difference maker for W, this time for the worse, only able to put in 2 shots of damage out of the total 4 fired. And we can see those Fosh Bs, they just had apparently too much ground to cover before they were actually able to put in their damage. Obviously, we do have Clerf up there as well, but the fact that 2 Fosh Bs essentially go out together with 2,000 damage is not good, especially since some of that damage is going to be mitigated by the healing abilities of the enemy Fosh Bs and the enemy super heavies.
Yeah, of course, and we can see those super heavies did come in clutch. Franek doing 6k damage and getting 3 kills. Clerf's damage in the end, all of the Fosh Bs for W, it doesn't really matter who's top or bottom. Clerf just ends up being top of the leaderboard because he was baiting a little bit more and not the first guy to go in, of course. And also, shout out to TSEC for doing a good job of surviving in that game, right? He is at the bottom of the leaderboard for Hit and Run, only did 2k damage, but he managed to survive for long enough just to prevent W from getting any kind of overmatch.
Yeah, also now, as we are a little bit deeper in towards the season, here we do have the Phase 1 scores. So that one was actually reversed. Hit and Run ended up losing against W. It was a 1-3, not a 3-1 as it suggests here. But this means that W, yes, in the past, they have had problems with Hit and Run, but at least here in Season 2, they've managed to take down the team once already. Obviously, after this first map here, we're going to be none the wiser, so off we are in towards Pilsen. And Hit and Run this time around are going to come in with only a single super heavy, the E100, the T57 making an appearance together with double 430U, double Foch B, and a quite interesting tank for Pilsen, in my opinion, an EBR.
Yeah, no light tank picked. Well, no spotting light tank picked for Hit and Run, and W aren't even bringing a wheeled light tank. They're just going for a brawl. They want a fight. We've seen this from them before on Muravanka, not on Pilsen, I believe. But when you play without the light tank, again, it's such a committed lineup. If you don't get the fight that you're looking for, you're eventually just going to lose over time. Thankfully for them, it's an EBR, not an RHM, so Hit and Run aren't going to have all the info from the beginning. Let's see what Mentos spots on this run. He sees a couple of tanks, but not the full lineup.
Not the full lineup. He doesn't end up getting lit himself, so W kind of ending up playing blind at this point in time, but the 430U hit squad has arrived in the cap. That's going to start the alarm bells here for Hit and Run that are sending their own mediums together with a Foch B over towards the northwestern part of the map. But obviously Mentos with that EBR is nimble, is quick, is able to pick up the strike without really being contested. That's why we do see those 430Us splitting up in the cap to mitigate the damage and mitigate the decap points. But the more important thing, one decap here, 13 seconds remaining. This means that the Hit and Run players need to commit in, and against hull down and side scraping 430Us, that is an absolutely terrifying prospect, because Frugo, he doesn't care in his E100. If he takes damage at this point in time, T-Sec is going to be the playmaker, but he only has 6 shells in the clip, and he's getting damaged as well.
Yeah, but he's not taking too much damage here. He's going to be able to get his clip out and then back off pretty much for free. I'd say Hit and Run actually traded pretty well in that situation. And now W, they're getting flanked from behind by Mentos. They're in a complete crossfire. They've got to push out of this engagement, and they're going to try and make that on towards Pan's Fury, but he's already backed off around the corner. Hit and Run just doing a great job of soaking up this pressure, just like we saw in the last game. And W, bleeding HP, Clef Fools in the 430U.
Yeah, indeed. W not able to draw in the tanks of Hit and Run as much as I would like to in towards the open. Instead, it is the W tanks now that are faced with the prospect of driving in towards a crossfire, and we can see Itox just melting in front of those Foch Bs here. Mentos, he's been providing shots from the sidelines as well, comes back to assassinate Frugo, and all of a sudden this bait and switch strategy by W falling apart like a house of cards.
Yeah, it looked pretty good for them at one point when they had the guys on the cap and only one reset came in from the strike of Mentos' EBR, but after the initial resets came in, W just sat there. They didn't make any kind of push, and you can't afford to just sit there in the open in those 430Us, because the longer the game goes on, the more time that Hit and Run have to stall it out.
And you could really see there how calm, how collected Hit and Run were reacting to this pressure. Lesser teams tend to overreact to these kind of pressure situations when you see like it's triple cap, oh no, the strike only reset 1, now we need to go, we need to expose, we need to get those resets. But instead, they knew T-Sec was on the flank, they were exposing a little bit to draw a little bit of fire away from T-Sec, and then full resets coming in, this in turn prompting W to push off the cap. And like, yeah, they did have some pretty heavy tanks on their lineup, but in the end, when you push with 430Us into crossfire, that's just really what you end up with. So a very mature reaction by Hit and Run. I think very, very good calls coming out from them. So good stuff overall. And I mean, W, they're going to be a little bit annoyed that it didn't work, but to be honest, it was kind of an all-in play. We highlighted they didn't have a light tank. So yeah, and indeed, we see the 430Us kind of not the damage you want to see from them.
No, definitely not. And they were obviously the priority targets for the side of Hit and Run. They wanted nothing to do with the E100s, of course. Mentos doing a pretty important job, we would say. I mean, he only spotted 3 tanks at the start, but I think by the way that those tanks he spotted were moving, they had a pretty good idea of exactly what W was up to. He also went for the strike, of course, which, despite only resetting 1 guy, was enough of a delay to allow the rest of his team to get into position. Yeah,
here we do have the correct phase 1 scores, but yeah, I think the fact as well that Mentos, he spots like 3 guys going a certain direction, and also I think more importantly here is what he doesn't spot, and that is he spotted no one on the coal piles where he was going pretty aggressively on purpose, just because he was able to give the information like, hey, you know, you see on your own minimap the 3 tanks that I spotted, and I can tell you here on the coal piles there is absolutely no one to be had. So it must be some kind of a cap all in play, because no one of us got spotted means most likely no light tank. This means guys get ready to defend the cap.
Yeah, he learns more from what he doesn't see than what he does in that situation. Here we go again. Some pretty familiar tanks that we've seen in the last few rounds. It's going to be double Foch B, double E100, double 430U, and a Ho-Ri brought by Hit and Run.
Oh, slight switch going on. The CS coming out for Hit and Run. That one, most importantly, having the Baby Strike available for some possible resets as well. We'll see if those will be necessary, as W themselves have opted for a light tank this time, together with an E4 double Foch B, that is, together with Batchat and W100.
Yeah, the E4, still a pretty potent tank. It's very comfortable to play in Onslaught. So it's not surprising that tank is still being brought out, despite the nerfs to the ability, of course. I expect... No, Mentos isn't actually going towards the mid. I was expecting him to go for the E4 strike, but he's actually going off towards the 1 line. I'm not sure how many tanks were spotted out by Cluff in the beginning. Missed that point, but I think he did spot Mentos.
By the way, that play by the CS63, it's being done by trained professionals. Don't do this at home. If you meet a Batchat there as a CS in random Onslaught, you are dead. Although now in the middle there are going to be 2 strikes picked up by W, also on the coal piles. These are 2 resets that are going to be available, and T-Sec and Monster are booking it. The strike is only going to connect on towards Monster here, and now Itox starting to open up, but T-Sec here already with the second wind. However, Itox able to completely blow him up, and Itox now starting to regenerate, but that is 2 for 1 in the Foch department. Yeah,
you'll definitely take that trade any match, really. 1 Foch B down of Itox in the middle. The strike didn't even... I'm not sure even it got collected by Franek there, but again, W in a pretty strong position now. They need to rotate back. They're moving. Eos is actually caught out in a bit of a crossfire here. He's getting shot from the back, so he might go down for free. He puts in 1 more shot in towards Pansori, but that will probably be the last one that he makes in this game. He might get 1 more on Pansori before he goes down, but the HP still quite even after that opening trade.
Indeed, HP quite even, and I think, yeah, the E100 does have the better reload still in this situation, so all of a sudden it's going to be a 5 versus 5 again. Hit and Run are trailing a little bit in the HP department, but they are sitting on the cap, and it's going to be sometime still until the strikes do recharge. That being said, the middle strike under control of Hit and Run as well, so the only one that's going to be up for grabs for W is the one on the coal piles once again. And keep in mind, at any point in time, Hit and Run could just boost the cap with more tanks, although at this like right now, it looks like they're going to send the Ho-Ri together with the 430U here against Jakafar. But yeah, they are going to stack the cap, and this obviously puts a lot of pressure. I don't think the strike is going to be get capped in time.
Oh, wait, he already had one.
He already had one. All right, this obviously means that Hit and Run have to push off the cap, and that is detrimental for them.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to tell whether Cluff or someone already had a strike there for the side of W. Sometimes the mod gets a little bit bugged, but the reset does come in, so now Hit and Run pushing off of the cap, Ketsai flanking in the Ho-Ri. With his ability, it gives him some pretty nice reload on that tank there. DJ now peeking around as well, but here comes Frugo in the Foch B. Only 2 shells, he misses the first one though, so he's going to be a full HP gun that's pretty much useless for the next 30 seconds or so, but W, with a commanding lead in the HP department, suddenly just went in their favor.
Exactly, and Tarxic is pretty low, but now in comes Jakafar with the group heal here, is going to give HP to Brainbreaker the Toxic and himself as well, and that is going to be the nail in the coffin here for Hit and Run on this round number 4 of the match, as it's going to be DJ falling and only 3 Hit and Run players remaining. The CS probably going to be found as well. Frugo finally off of the long reload. He's going to turn in. He wants more damage, and he's going to deter Brainbreaker from getting the kill shot. little bit of rivalry there maybe going on in the W lineup that are going to pick up their round number 2, and once again, it's all even.
Yeah, 2-2. These teams trading blows with each other. I was very surprised with just how quickly that spun out of control, because the HP was very close, as you said. It was 5-5, even after the opening Fosh B trades, and suddenly W just took a commanding lead, and I have to say, I'm not entirely sure where that came from. Obviously, they had better positions and they got the double strike, but just ended all of a sudden.
I think the biggest thing here to keep in mind was that, well, W still was up a gun, and they did have Clerf with the strike, and he was able to reset probably all 3 on the cap. That means 1200 damage just for that reset if he tags all 3 tanks. So that is probably where it all went awry. If it didn't already do that when Hit and Run essentially traded 2 Fosh Bs for 1.
Yeah, that opening gambit that they made definitely didn't go as well as they probably would have imagined in practice, at least. Maybe it's gone better. I guess the Fosh B being the tank you're pushing onto in the middle is probably the worst tank to find there, because he's pretty much always going to get a clip out before he dies, right? And it's very awkward for both of the Fosh Bs, Monster and T-Sec, because not only do they have to drive forwards, but they don't have a turret either, so it's not like they can immediately start shooting. They've got to stop, turn all the way around while exposed to everyone, pretty much.
Yeah, and this means that after a very, very quick 4 rounds, we already find ourselves on map number 3, where the match might possibly be decided, although the way this has been going, I wouldn't mind a tiebreaker, although it would help your prediction possibly. So let's see where this one goes, as Himmelsdorf is up next, and I think Himmelsdorf, to be honest, like Moravanka, for me personally, not that the maps are alike, don't understand me wrong here, but it is kind of the same case when it comes to the playstyle and the meta still being up to discussion in between the teams, is I think a nice way to phrase it.
Yeah, you're definitely right. There's still a bit of like feeling out that's got to happen in the meta on this map. I think that's just because there's so many different things or different ways that you can play it, especially utilizing the hill as an option. It's kind of scary to actually go for it, because you don't know if you're going to meet 2 or 3 tanks up there, and then maybe you just sacrifice yourself for free, for example, if you only send 1, and you just don't... I think the teams, it's just a little bit awkward at the moment.
Well, let's see. Hit and Run, once again, bringing out their trusty 50Bs. Inspire Medium with the 1-2 on B, 1-4-30U, double Fosh B, and a Juggernaut TD with the V4 of Pan's Fury.
Yep, meanwhile W are going for 2 German super heavies, E100 and a mouse. It's interesting that teams are bringing like 1 of each. I'm just wondering what the specific intent is behind bringing not double E100 or not double mouse, and the specific use case there. Then we've got a Sente X by Jackafer there. Then we've got EOS in the 430U, a Blitzkowitzer, which is surprising to see given the nerfs, of course, and then still double Fosh B.
I mean, the Blitzka can still be devastating. What didn't get nerfed was the tank itself, obviously, in Onslaught. So the DPM is going to be there at close ranges, as Mentos and DJ are immediately going to drive through the middle of the map. They're going to be met with the mouse of Frugo, though. That is obviously not who they wanted to meet. They cannot simply blow him up. Jackafer, though, more like Javkaka, is about to possibly be blown up by the double 50B, but Mentos thinking better of it, now starting to draw back. Frugo taking some damage, but this punishment on towards 50Bs, that is not HP that you are going to get back here. Clerf with that Fosh B might be an overcommitment. Nope. One of the 50B is completely blown out of the water, and in comes the heal, in comes the regeneration, but Monster shuts it down.
Yeah, Clerf does fall there, but Monster had to overcommit quite a bit to that play. Mentos also fell in the Fosh B, of course, in the 50B, of course, and now the Fosh Bs from the side of Hit and Run, they're on reload, and W, they're just going to keep mashing the W key. No, they're not. They're going to hold up because they don't want to overcommit to this play. DJ is off of reload in that 50B, and he has a crossfire. Frantic is putting in some good shots now. Frugo maybe suiciding a little bit, committing into the open, and we know when the 430U has his ability up, the mouse is like mincemeat, and Frugo does fall, and now W, they find themselves, they've got 4 tanks all stuck in one lane.
Yeah, not gonna lie, there's a Foch B out of the game by W. That's kind of on a sightseeing tour, bit of a touristic thing going on here, and this enables a possible comeback for Hit and Run. That was Itox that was trying to flank all the way through the south, but not able to help his team out during that, and now Hit and Run are just going to turn. They're just going to find Itox that has not really been able to leave, and you can see the Sharks closing in, or the Dragons rather, going after the logo, as Itox all of a sudden finds himself between 2 enemy tanks of Frantic already with the reload ability, and Cat's Eye inspiring him from behind, so it's going to be Frantic to pick it up. And W, the opening looked so good, but after that, downhill.
They just bit off a little bit more than they could chew. The opening looked fantastic for them, but of course Clurf just overcommitting into the courtyard there. They looked a little bit too eager to try and close out this particular battle, and in the end, Hit and Run punish them for it. They bait them back in, and W in the late game, in the mid to late game, just not able to maintain the advantage that they had. Itox got picked off in the south. He was on an island by himself, and now it's just Eos and Jackifer in the DPM mediums, and they're not going to be long for this world. Eos just getting shot from 2 different directions. It looked very good for W in the opening, but again, Hit and Run just able to hold on.
Hit and Run able to hold on here. Eos with another shot in towards the 121B that's behind him, but Jackifer being shut down means that Hit and Run are going to secure the round. And not gonna lie, there were 3 plays that I personally was raising my eyebrows at here. Number 1, Clurf, possibly defendable. Number 2, Frugo driving through the middle of the map, and number 3, Itox in the south doing, well, I mean, if you want to take a look at the map, you can do that in training battles. I don't think, you know, this would be the time.
A little bit harsh. I don't think it was Itox's fault. I think the rest of the team made some misplays, and then his position was compromised off of the back of that. Of course, I think they almost baited themselves, because they saw the double 50B, and they were so ready to just push into it and just delete 2 tanks that they just committed themselves into these bad positions. If they just took the couple free shots that they got and then just reset the playing field and took different positions, they would have been in a very strong hold for the rest of that game, because the 50Bs would have had to bleed a lot, but just overcommitting there.
Yeah, overcommitting. I think everything until the kill of the first 50B was fine, and after that it started going haywire for the team of W. And that is kind of problematic for them now, because, well, we are in a best of 7, and Hit and Run being on 3 points in turn means that Hit and Run are now on match point, and with this, obviously, according to the rules, they have already secured a single point for the leaderboard, should they lose in tiebreaker, but they have the possibility of snatching up 2 more now by winning this round and winning in regular time.
Sure. They're not going to be thinking about that right now, though. You want to just make sure that you lock in the win. Of course, someone has to get onto match point first, and the way this game has gone so far, maybe W can hit back, but that felt like it was their battle for the taking, and they're going to be a little bit frustrated with themselves after that one.
Yeah, the first 2 matches, or the first 2 maps went kind of punch for punch, but really here it felt like W were trying to finish it off too fast, kind of getting ahead of themselves. And that was what I was talking about on the round on Pilsen, where Hit and Run ended up taking it. The maturity in a team is also what matters. That being said, we are not at the end point yet of the match. First of all, Hit and Run will try to drive it home together with double E100, 1-1-2-1B, CS63, possible hill presence, could also go 1-2, double 430U, and a whole re-3 of Cat's Eye, an interesting choice.
Definitely, and W, that is an identical lineup, if my eyes do not deceive me. I think it's the exact same lineup they brought in the previous round. So obviously liking what they brought to the table in the previous round of Himmelsdorf, just not there with the execution.
Yeah, I think it was not a lineup issue. I think the execution was definitely the issue in the past round for W, but that means they can only do better when it comes to that, and hopefully for them, they'll be able to do that. CS 63 of Mentors, that one's indeed getting sent towards the hill, and all of the other tanks of Hit and Run are kind of going towards the 1-2 line, with the 1-1B claiming the 1 line for himself. The double 430 of Monster Pants Fury getting sent in towards the cap. They're immediately going to put the pressure on towards W.
Yeah, double cap has been started. There is a strike available for the side of W. Frugo, the team captain, is going to drive across the open in his mouse and start collecting that one. Mentos may or may not have a mini strike, depending on whether he is able to get some damage. He did take the Raider at the start of the game, and if he spots all 7 tanks, I believe that gives him enough prestige points to get the ability for the strike, but it's being collected by Frugo, so scratch that. 10 seconds left on the cap now. Frugo should be able to get the reset because there's not very much room there on that cap circle, and it does come in. So the timer has been reset again, but obviously W, they're not going to be able to collect a strike and reset this time.
Yeah, the 430Us are very, very low profile, and that means that now the problems do start for W, that have, interestingly enough, committed 3 entire tanks on towards the hill, which is already being evacuated by the side of Hit and Run. HP currently a little bit in favor of Hit and Run, and Frugo once again driving with the mouse through the center of Himmelsdorf. Miss coming out, that means he shouldn't have a reload available. Tarxic now the one. Eyes on Tarxic as the cap goes down to 0, and the HE reset does come in. The strike in turn on towards Tarxic is obviously going to stun him. He should be able to remove it, and now still cap pressure going in. You can see those HP bars by W starting to melt as they have to drive out into the open. The tanks from W from the hill finally able to open fire, but that is a Frontline 100 that the Foshby is shooting at over distance. That is not a good engagement. Cap down towards 3 seconds. Make that 2-1. Clerf driving in with the Foshby. Last second reset, but gets blown up.
Yeah, no backup plan for W there, and the cap is not going to come in. He does get a reset at the last second, but W just so committed across the board. Frugo is completely compromised in the middle of the open. He is not going to be longed for this world as the 430Us decide, you know what, we're not going to cap. We'll actually come in and kill you. And poor Tarx, who bled all of his HP over peaking to get the critical reset to keep his team in the game, he will not be thanked for it. He falls now in his E100. Jackifer is on the top of the hill. He's going to be able to do a little bit of farm, but the game is already done.
Yeah, exactly. Jackifer currently king of the hill, but probably not for long, as Hit and Run are going to claim match number 1 of phase 1. And to be honest, I think they were on Himmelsdorf here, and especially in this round number 2, just a little bit quicker with the decisions that they made, because this rotation by W to send 3 tanks after only possibly 1 on the hill that was also going to be able to evacuate, a good microplay there by Mentos as well in the CS63 to just drive away from the hill and essentially leave out 3 tanks in the open, not to do anything but snipe at hold down E100s in the cap. Very well played here. Tactical outplay, I think, by Hit and Run. And W, good showing on the first 2 maps, but ultimately on Himmelsdorf, I mean, yeah, that was tactical domination coming out from Hit and Run.
Definitely. Simple but effective. Push into the cap, force your opponent to cross into the open, compromise their positions, overpeak to reset, bleed their HP, and then win the round. W, a bit casual, I would say. You know, they got the first strike, and that's always going to provide you with a little bit of breathing room, but off the back of that, there was just no further reaction, no urgency to get into better positions to deal with this cap.
Yeah, indeed. Damage numbers coming in, and we see here, I mean, Clerf, he had to suicide at that point in time just to prolong the match, so we're not going to blame him for being at the bottom of the board here. I think it was not like the individual issue of shooting or plays, like micro plays by the side of W this time. It was just that Hit and Run overall with the opening strategy that they did forced W in towards hasty reactions that they weren't prepared for. They probably hadn't seen this in training so far. It just felt like everything that was happening was happening once at a time, was maybe even mistimed. There were always tanks out in the open that could get focused by multiple tanks on the hit and run lineup. And this means a final score of 4-2. And once again, Moff, you should have predicted like Phil and I did.
It's all W's fault, dude. In that first round on Himmels that they threw, they definitely should have probably won that game. But it is what it is. I'll take the L on that one and try and pick up some points later in the day. But as expected, as we predicted, of course, all of us went with hit and run. They're really finding their stride in the OLS Season 2 as we move into Phase 2. 2 more matches to come, of course.
Yeah, 2 more matches to come. The next one is gonna be Mafia against Darkside. So that is going to be quite interesting as well to watch, because Darkside, they had a super strong opening against Hit and Run, but after that, not much more to come in Phase 1 of OLS. And for Mafia, I mean, things were not bad, is, I think, an understatement about how it went in Phase 1. We're going to see all of that after some replays. Keep being tuned in, and we'll see you soon.
Ring in the Year of the Snake fully armed. Open lunar boxes and get resources, vibrant styles, and premium vehicles. The desirable Skoda T56, the futuristic AAT60, the jack-of-all-trades WZ111 Model 6, the high-explosive Gonzalo, the adorable Meal, the ambushing object Kust, and the new Tier 9 Premium Kampfpanzer Erich Concept 1. You can find each one of these excellent vehicles in lunar boxes.
Hello there and welcome back. And you just saw the trailer for the Lunar New Year event. Keep in mind that one ends tomorrow, so if you want to still pick up one of the tanks there, then feel free to do so. I heard Leopard PTA enjoyers will feel right at home with the Erich concept. And to be honest, in favor of Valentine's Day, I'm considering 3-marking the Miel for my honey. Pun intended here. That one's obviously also pretty awesome to play. That though being said, Moth, back we are in towards the second match. It's going to Mafia against Darkside.
Yeah, it's gonna be the two teams with the black and white logos, very somber vibes. Mafia, the team, of course, who won the Winter Invitational, the most recent competition in competitive World of Tanks, and they were looking pretty good in the form there. They picked up Yuzek, very strong player, so it's looking pretty good for them. On the other hand, Darkside, they look to have fallen off a bit of a cliff. They had the exact same peak early on that they did last season, but the peak didn't last anywhere near as many games. They won one match on the first day of Phase 1, of course, beating Out Hit and Run, which was, again, a shock result, just like they did last season. But since then, it's just been a very, very steep decline.
Yeah, indeed, and I think community predictions are maybe brutal, but fairly reflecting that, 94 to 6%. Mafia, for them, Phase 1 has been, well, not maybe smooth, but not bumpy either. It has been an okay ride. They're in a prime position for securing a spot in the playoffs, and that is exactly where they want to stay. Meanwhile, for the team of Darkside, formerly Solyanka, we need to see a definite step up if they want to stay in. They're obviously playing from behind in terms of points now, as we see Barkis, one of the instrumental players in the team of Mafia, 1.6 KD, but I think the most respectable stat here is the 3.5k DPG. And keep in mind, that is not randoms, where it would still be pretty okay. That is Onslaught, and that is only OLS.
Yeah, of course. Playing the Gorilla 15, I have to imagine that that's going to be contributing quite heavily to his DPG there. On the other side, we've got Vladislav, who's playing pretty much only autoloaders from the looks of things, which, while having a lot of damage potential, can be difficult to find impact sometimes if the timings of pushes are incorrect there. So a little bit less DPG, but it's not really that important.
Yeah, one thing we forgot to mention about Barkis, by the way, top 1 damage dealer in the OLS currently.
Yeah,
so
I was
no
wondering
one able
that.
to beat that.
I was wondering how high, if 3.5 isn't the highest, how high it can go.
But that was obviously Phase 1. Phase 2 is now, and we do see the pick and bans coming in. Westfield and Airfield being removed, respectively. And that means, I mean, once again, we're going to start off on Ensk. And to be honest, I don't mind. Ensk is a very, very cool map to watch. It's quick, it's action-packed. And that is not going to slow down, because Cliff is going to be our map number 2. And I mean, Himmelsdorf, deja vu, kind of, but not unwelcome. So Cliff and Himmelsdorf, the two most iconic maps. Map guides for both of those are available, by the way. And we are going to go into Pilsen.
Yeah, it's all the same maps, actually, from the previous match, just in a different order. This time Pilsen is the tiebreaker instead of Cliff. Ensk being picked by Mafia is no surprise whatsoever, really. It's been a pretty strong map for them, up there with the likes of Cashback, even going back to last season. Predictions, I had to be different again. I went with the 4-0. I'm gambling. I've got a problem.
Not gonna lie, I was kind of hovering the 4-0. I was considering.
It's the thing. It's the thing that you want to do, but you just want the one round for insurance.
No, I to be honest, I didn't have the balls to do it. That's just it.
I think it's very possible though. Given Darkside's recent form, they lost to Ping 3-0, which is obviously one of the teams that's been since relegated, knocked out of the OLS. So it really, the fact that you lose 3-0 to a team that's actually gone, it doesn't bode well for them.
It doesn't bode well for them, but let's see how it's actually gonna play out. Because we are just about ready to get rolling in match number 2 of the day. And once again, stakes here are going to be for Mafia as many points as possible for most likely seeding. For the playoffs and for Darkside, they really need to pick up the pace to even make it there. As we see Darkside opening up with a Foch B, a Jagdpanzer, pretty uncommon, double V4, double E3, and the E4, to be honest, like 1 month ago is calling me right now, and it wants its lineups back.
Yeah, did they not get the memo that the Juggernaut ability was nerfed? Because that's what it looks like right now. They've gone with 6 Juggernaut TDs. On the other side, Mafia, this is more of the established meta that we've come to know in recent times. They've brought only 1 Juggernaut TD, Olszek in the E4. Then we've got triple super heavy. 1-2-1, interesting choice. Darkside actually brought that themselves in one of their previous matches on Ensk. That tank, a little bit of a sleeper pick.
I mean, to be honest, if Darkside is able to stall here and just force Mafia in towards trades, then I could see it going their way, kinda.
Yeah, if you're able to get those just 1-for-1 trades rather than allowing the Foch Bs to snowball, then you're definitely right.
But then again, like, there's a reason why we see other teams leaning in towards other lineups. As we do see both teams leaning into an opening that is not mirrored. Trash Panda is going to get sent towards the A2 position with a V4, kind of, where he could be covered by the E3 and the E4, but Mafia have instead opted to go heavily in towards the city, as full information now available for them, because they did pick up the information tower that Kitsank is only now picking up in the Foch B. So he does not use it currently. Did he use it? Not sure, but let's just assume he did. And interestingly enough, Marcel has opted for the 1-to-1 over the B version, so it's going to be a trade there, kind of 440 alpha. The gun handling, though, not as good.
No, it's definitely not as good. I think it might have a stronger turret, but to be honest, like I said before, the 1-to-1 is such a sleeper pick. Like, no one ever really thinks about it, so I'm not like super familiar with the stats. I know it gets, I think it gets 340 heat compared to 1-to-1, which gets 350 as well. So it is a curious choice over the 1-to-1 or other tanks like we've seen the Cent AX, but Mafia, they're very grouped up right now.
Oh, good shot here in towards Profuse coming out. That was a big one in towards the Super Heavy of Mafia to open up the match. That is kind of slow, but yeah, that pace is about to pick up as Mafia starting to repush over the, towards the rails, and now Dreamer and Shockrex both need to be very careful not to be overexposed here. Fluff shot coming out from Olszek that is not able to deal any damage as of now, and now Kitsunk needs to be extremely careful because that is a lot of enemy tanks that are pretty close towards him. He could get swarmed here, probably calling for assistance at this point in time. Bark is already in the healing phase of his ability, and now they will try to fight off what is coming towards Kitsunk, but Kitsunk just blowing up, and so does Barkis, however, so the single shooters for now able to hold on, but for how much longer is that going to be the case? The strike goes down on towards Dreamer, that's going to be the next focus, but Conrad now out of steam in that Foch B. Is Kona going to be able to pick it up? Does he get the roll is the question. He does. It's going to be Olszek to do that, and in comes the repush by Darkside on towards Profuse.
It was an important shot by Hellman right at the end there. Before he went down, he focused out the 1-to-1, made him a one-shot for those high alpha tank destroyers. Profuse, nothing more for him to do here. He's in a 2v1 situation, but he's just trying to hold on as long as possible for his team on the other side of the map. Another tank falling there. Vladislav now playing Ring of Roses, trying to do one more shot, but he doesn't manage to get it off in time. And now these two tanks, Shockerites and Dries, they've got to pull back into cover. They've got to try and hold on.
They've indeed gonna try and hold on against this onslaught of Mafia tanks that is marching their way. However, Trash Panda and Hellbind not that far out of the game. Kono is a possible one-shot in that E100, gets helped by Shockerix here. Does blow up, double kill for Darkside coming in. And the underdogs, yes, they're going to lose Dries, but Conrad now reloading. This means that Dries might be able to do one more shot. Reload probably quicker because he's so low HP. Does he get the one more shot on towards Orzek? Yes! That means that Orzek is down and out. Only Conrad remaining, and Darkside get the upset in round number 1. It's going to be 1 for them, and Mafia trailing here with 0 points.
Yeah, it's going to be 0 points for me as well. Well, it might be 1. Mafia already, Darkside already ruining my prediction. It's not a good day. It's not a good day.
Well, I'm sorry, but yeah, that was a good response. He got me giggling. Who's not giggling is gonna be Mafia. Excuse me.
You seem way too happy about like my failings in prediction game.
I can tell you, the whole office burst off in laughter as you just said that. So everyone immediately got the joke. If your goal was to make us happy, you did definitely achieve that. But yeah, I mean, an upset here. That was Darkside, a team of Darkside that we haven't really seen show up since day 1 of Phase 1. Yes, they did win against Borber's again, I believe, but to be honest, no offense to Borber's, they're not on the level of Hit and Run. However, who is definitely playing up to the level, at least as of right now, is Shockerix with 6.6k, and that V4, it doesn't really have that much DPM.
Yeah, and you can see Hellmind and Shockerix both having 100% hit rate there. I was actually Dreamer who I called out for putting in one more good shot into the 1-2-1, which in the end actually seemed to be quite critical because Marcel was not able to have any impact in this game whatsoever. But of course, Darkside just, of course they had to show up and start playing well after I predicted the 4-0. I mean, why not, dude? Let's, we really struggled against the Bobas. We lost 3-0 against Ping, but now we're going to perform. We're locked in.
Exactly. They were just hiding strategies for Phase 2. They were all right, we are going to, surprise everyone. And they definitely did. When I was predicting 4-1, I was kind of giving them, this pity round because you don't want to be the one to say 4-0 and...
I hope they win now.
Happen.
Do you know why I hope they win? Because everyone gets 0 points.
Well,
let's go Darkside. Let's do it.
How the turns have tabled.
Yeah, I'm the number 1 Darkside fan. Number 1 Darkside enjoyer.
If there is a million Darkside fans,
dude, the Darkside is very powerful. It's it's got a lot to offer.
They've indeed got cookies, but let's see how many of them are going to still be left on the plate after Mafia is done with eating them from the plate. Darkside coming into round number 2. A Mouse, a 705A, kind of not that often picked, but not completely out there. A 430U, a Jagdpanzer, a V4, an E3, an E4. So once again, very heavy towards the TD side. That seems to be pretty dark.
Yeah. But it worked out for them in the last game, right? So why not another time? Mafia going with 4 mice. 4 mouse. That's a lot of HP. They're also bringing a 705A, which is pretty healthy too. And then to balance it out, they've got Comrade and Marcel in the mediums here. The 705A is a really annoying tank to play against, but it's also kind of annoying to play, right? It's not got the greatest gun in the world. Can be a little bit tricky with the amount of pen that it's got there. Both teams pushing quite aggressively towards the middle of the map.
Yeah, it would give the edge of the aggression towards Mafia that are also pushing the cap at the same time with the Moise would be the correct terminology, but they're also going to be the first ones to lose a little bit of HP. That being said, Mafia started with a lot more of that as the March of the Mouses, that is more looking like a March of the Elephants, is going to come in towards full effect now. Dreamer is going to bear the brunt of it together with Shockerix. That's down towards 1340 as well. Yes, Darkseid trying to respond, but that E3 has really been caught out in the open. The ability is going to make sure that he survives at least one more shot, but that is possibly going to be all she wrote for the first tank on Darkseid.
Yeah, Dreamer does fall first in this battle, and in the meantime we've got the double mediums ganging up against Kano in the 430U, so Darkseid, they're gonna have to make a push here, and they're down 5k HP as they try to do this, and these mice are just so healthy. Not Orzhek though, he's down to a one-shot, and he pops as a heal ability. Like that's going to make any difference, being a one-shot tank there as Dries tries to get around behind him to stop him from running away from this fight. Dries does pick up the kill, but he might have blocked himself off. No, he just about has room to get back into the fight. Not that it's going to matter, because here comes Mafia with Profuse leading the charge in his full HP 705A. The Batchat of Comrade has clipped out once again and is on reload, but with that ability, even despite the nerfs, he's going to be having another clip available in no time at all, and that is going to be Mafia tying up the score 1-1.
Yeah, those Mouses of Mafia, they have seemed to have nibbled a lot at those cookies that Darkseid brought to those second round of Enskir. Still very, very juicy, a fat HP pool on both Yuzek and Barkis as Dries is trying to hold the door.
Poor Comrade.
Against...
They're bullying him. They're pushing him out into the open.
They're just helping a buddy out, you know? Hands up. They're trying to help Conrad to get through the wreckage. But yeah, Dries, maybe one more shot of damage. That's not even gonna be the case, and Mafia are going to equalize the scoreline once again today. After map number 1 Ensk, we find ourselves at a scoreline of 1-1.
Yeah, just too much HP for Darkseid to chew through there, and that, I guess that's what happens when you bring 4 mice to the battlefield. I really, really hope that we don't end up in a situation where Darkseid channeled all of their energy, all of this Dark Sith Lord energy into one game, and then they just fall off a cliff again. That would make me very, very sad. For the entertainment, for the viewers, right? Not for predictions. Entertainment value.
I mean, yeah, it was kind of weird to see. Like in round number 1, it looked like anti-meta pick with all of those TDs. This time going a little bit away from it, where Darkseid, but you can see Dreamer, I mean, he was able to put out 2 shots, only connecting one of them, and I think the problem that started mounting for Darkseid here was that essentially 2 tanks on their lineup, the 430U as well as the E3, ended up getting found by tanks of Mafia with a lot of DPM, and this means that in turn, the guys from Darkseid didn't really have anything to push on that wasn't Mouses, and from there on out, it was a losing position.
They were kind of caught in 2 minds, right? They weren't covering the 430U, which was Kano, and they weren't fully committing to the push on the mice either, so in the end, they were just stuck in one square, not really doing anything, and, you know, that's generally not a good thing to do if you want to try and win the battle.
Yeah. Although Mafia did a good job, I guess, with presenting Darkseid with only bad options, right?
Yeah.
If
because
that's
they push so aggressively with the mice that they kind of force them to pay attention to them.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that the big problem in that game is that Dreamer just gets caught so early. But it's a tough mistake to make, to overcommit like that, especially when you don't have full info at the beginning of the game. It's quite easy to just overstep a little bit too much when you think that you're in a strong position, and then suddenly you realize, oh, I'm a one-shot.
Well, no mouse on either lineup, as we are going in towards Cliff, and Darkseid are bringing a Fiddy B together with double BZ75, a Batchat, double 430U, and an RHM.
Meanwhile, we've got Mafia bringing triple BZ, 1 Batchat, double CS, and a TVP. So we're leaning away from Batchat meta, which is certainly curious, given what we've seen before.
It's crazy what kind of an impact having one charge at the beginning of the battle has, right? On Cliff, because if the Batchat has that charge at the start, then it's going to be immediately reloaded when the first clash is going to happen. As a Darkside opens up, sending Trash Panda over towards the Donut in that RHM. How long is he going to survive? That's questionable, as there's triple medium tank by Mafia going there as well. Vladislav is going to stop at the ramp. He doesn't want to take the shots by the crossing BZs or Conrad in that Batchat. That's aiming already. He ends up taking one. Doesn't take a second one, though. And Trash Panda is going to secure the crossfire position. He should be able to shoot at those BZs. Needs to be careful, but there is no light on the Mafia lineup that could blind him. So for now, it's going to be free farm. But Mafia, they are taking the hill for what arguably is free. That punishment on the BZ-75s is not really that great.
Yeah, it was good shooting by Darkside, but that's why you take the BZs, right? They just have so much health. Cano getting caught a little bit, takes 2 from Marcel, but the cap is being stacked right now. There is a strike available, and of course Mafia have double CS, which means they get the mini strikes if they're able to get off any damage. Also, Mafia taking double radar, so they're definitely going to know where these guys are on the cap, and they're getting shot from the top of the hill. It's not looking great right now for Darkside, because these resets will surely come in.
Resets are bound to come in, and Trash Panda needs to respect the fact that these double radar towers are going to keep him spotted as well. And now Marcel has made his way behind him, and that is one shot already into his back. Make that 2. The TVP doesn't have the clip potential to completely kill him. Marcel actually not with the best trades, but the strike is going to reset the cap, and now Mafia are playing from an upwards position, not only in terms of terrain but also in terms of HP. They have the slight advantage here, as Trash Panda is going to get removed from the battle. Now Vladislav coming in with that Batchat, trying to get something done against Orzek, but the firepower against that chunky Chinese heavy tank not going to be enough. Shokorix bullying his way past with the rockets activated. Dreamer coming over the top, but Orzek still alive and kicking.
Yeah, these double BZ, look at them. From the top of the hill, they're just able to overpeak. They don't care if they get shot. They've got enough HP to tank it, and Shokorix is eliminated from the battle. His teammates will surely fall soon. There's still a little bit to fight for here, but it's only really going in one direction for the side of Mafia.
Yeah, one direction, but not really a song that Darkside want to sing to, as they are currently getting shot from every angle possible. I mean, cap is down to 10 seconds. That might be a possibility back into the game for the team of Darkside, but nope, the strike goes down, resetting all the cap points that Dries had accumulated as he gets reset once again. And Mafia, after a round number 1 that ended up going a very, very weird way and ending up going Darkside's way, they seem to have found their stride. They're going to not only pick up the second round of Ensk, but they're also making it look easy now on Cliff, and are gonna go in towards the lead. It's gonna be 2-1.
Yep, very convincing round for Mafia. We would expect nothing less, and the trend continues. I think it is going against me right now, but you know, again, Mafia with a pretty strong opening. They send triple BZ up towards the hill, and like we mentioned in the game, even though there's a lot of tanks aiming for the side of Darkside, it doesn't matter. It's nowhere near enough punishment to delete a BZ, and even if they did kill one of the BZs, they still give up hill control essentially for free, and then they don't have Donut either. They don't even have 1-2 control because Marcel is anchoring that down in the TVP. Trash Panda's position, normally, I was going to say, in the game, normally that position is like actually pretty good if the enemy team doesn't have a light tank, which Mafia didn't, which means he's able to sit there unspotted. But the way Mafia positioned themselves, particularly Marcel, when he went into that radar, he was actually able to shoot Trash Panda in the back, and when Marcel can do that, there's essentially nowhere left for Trash Panda to go. So just great positioning from Mafia just to angle out the RHM, take the hill for free, take Donut for free. every game.
Yeah, exactly. It was scary to see how Darkseid were letting Mafia get all the important positions, essentially, because realistically, what was there left in regards to positions on the map that Mafia didn't have? Well, they had the cap under complete control, under lockdown, with both big strikes and baby strikes from CSs. They had double information tower. They had the hill with 3 BZs. That was just lost from the get-go for Darkseid positionally. So I think it was just opening for opening that Mafia completely beat Darkseid here.
I think the best way that Darkseid can handle that is they just have to push into the BZs before they start climbing the hill, right? Because you have double 430U going into the middle. The BZ, while it has a lot of HP, it doesn't have great DPM, and if these 430Us were able to over-push the mid and get behind some rocks so they were in cover from Donut, I think that would have been their best chance of winning the round. But when you let your opponent take the hill for free like that, you let them take all the positions and you don't have any reaction, and then you go and sit on the cap when you know that they have a strike and they have CSs as well, it's kind of poor decision making.
Well, Darkseid definitely trying to switch it up now, bringing double 50B with a Batchat, double CS63, a Fosh-B, and an RHM. So a lot of auto-loading power together with strikes from those CSs.
Meanwhile, we got Mafia bringing double BZ, double Batchat, double CS63, and a lonely Fosh-B.
So in the end, I think it's going to be light plus 50Bs against BZ power and a little bit more Batchat coming out. But what's more important on Cliff are obviously the openings and then the reactions to those by both sides. And a good spot coming out from the team of Darkseid. Trash Panda is going to immediately recharge one of the charges off his plane, immediately going to put the second one as well. That is a lot of information very early on for the team of Mafia, as Trash Panda and Kono are going to start it off here, but Kitsunk now with that 50B going to open up against Barkis. Needs to stay safe actually from Orzek. Drives around Barkis, possibly opening himself up to the Fosh-B. Not sure why Kitsunk was doing that. Should almost be reloaded in that 50B, however, as Hellmind needs to retreat from the onslaught of tanks of Mafia coming through in towards the donut area, is going to be able to stay alive for now.
He does manage to get out though, which is potentially going to be game-winning. We've got Kono in middle by himself though, and there's no one in position to support him. There is some shots coming in from the donut now, but Kono's already dead in this situation, and Mafia, they have the HP lead, but they've lost the middle of the map now. Kano getting clipped out by Orshek in the Fosh-B, but he's on reload. Comrade pushing him back across. He takes a shot from Hellmind, but he's still going to be able to have enough shells and enough HP to clip out the 50B here. Hellmind is going to fall as well. There needs to be a reaction from Mafia right now, but I don't think they have the guns to do so.
Well, the double 50B by Darkseid getting blown up certainly is a good start. And this leaves Darkseid with very nimble tanks. The only one that can really tank is that Fosh-B of Vladislav. Currently 4 shots still remaining in the chamber. But he has a lot of heavy tanks close towards him. Is now starting to get pushed. And they're starting to swarm him here. Conrad with the clip does end up shotting down the Fosh-B of Darkseid, and possibly the hopes of them winning this round. A lot of their tanks now in the 1-2 line. Not really in position yet, but they are going to claim the strike. Shokrix is not going to be able to challenge, and we can see Darkseid already scrambling towards the hill with the singular Batchat. Their RHM is not in any way, shape or form capable of trading it out against the medium and heavy tanks of Mafia. So once again, things falling a bit apart for the team from Ukraine.
Yeah, the only thing that's really in their favor right now is that they have an RHM in the late game. But Mafia, they have more guns and they have more HP, so they're just going to sit tight. They don't actually have to do anything because of the rules, the way it works. If it's a draw, the team that has the most kills, that's the first rule when it comes to a draw. The team that has the most kills wins. So Mafia, quite rightly, quite intelligently as well, because you'd be forgiven for thinking at this moment that, oh, we should push. We have more HP, we have more guns, but we actually don't. We don't need to do anything. Orshek might push out the south in his Fosh-B. He gets spotted out now. Shokrix lets off a shot and lets him know that he's there. He is safe behind that rock, but for how long?
Yeah, Yuzek now knows where he is, so he's going to keep track of the situation. The strike is going to put down Shockerigs towards a 2-shot for the Foch B, as Depressed is now taking the strike on the hill in that bad shot here. And we do see the full information, the full spot coming through for Darkside, but does it really matter? Arguably, no, because Mafia are playing this in a way where Darkside, wherever they push, they are going to lose tanks immediately, so smart play. I mean, arguably not a pretty play to wait here, but it is certainly the most efficient, the most likely way to be able to claim victory for them. So who's going to blame them? As Profuse waiting on the strike is once again going to start picking it up. This means that Shockerigs has to get a move on in that CS63. It seems like he got a timing window. He's going to make it away for now. But Darkside, they are, well, playing...
He still can't leave, though.
From very far behind,
Yuzek will spot him if he tries to climb up and get a better position. And if Yuzek does spot him, he'll almost certainly overpeak and kill him. He does spot him. Shockerigs, is he able to get into safety? He lets off a shot on the move, actually hits Yuzek, but he does fall, which is not really too much of a surprise. And now that there's only 2 guns left, maybe we will see Mafia do something. They're very, very cautious right now.
Some would say cautious, others would say lazy, but when you've already done the work, why not relax a little bit and give yourself time to talk about the next round? And I think Darkside are starting to accept that this is not going to be a round on Cliff that they are going to be winning. Depressed is making a move. The only way for Darkside back into this battle would be a couple Amaraks and 3 fires, something like that. But obviously with the module RNG being lowered in Onslaught, that would be highly unlikely.
Well, to Amarak someone, they're actually going to have to, you know, go and fight them, which they're not doing right now. So they're going to have to actually shoot them first. So we'll get to that. The best other chance they could have is that someone disconnects. Depressed is now spotted out. Mafia know exactly where he is. They're going to send out their little minions, the Batchats, Comrade and Yuzek. They're like, yes, boss, we'll go and kill him. We'll accomplish this mission. Depressed realizes he's made a huge mistake of trying to actually play the game, and he gets deleted.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Mafia are playing this efficiently, cold, ruthless. At the end of the day,
there is no incentive.
The
there is no incentive for them to play any faster than they are, other than just having food earlier.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But finally, Trash Panda is going to bite the dust. Yuzek is going to end up on 4 kills, and Marcel is going to throw himself from the cliff in a celebration. And this means that Mafia are going to be on a match point. A slower second round of Cliff, but let's be real, it was decided pretty quickly.
Yep, and that's the way Cliff goes sometimes. We just ended a little bit later in the game because Darkside still had these fast mediums and the RHM alive, and like we say, the RHM in the end game is very, very powerful. So what's the best way to stop the RHM from being able to do anything? Just don't play the game. Just go AFK.
Yeah, just don't give them an opportunity. Like, default back to defensive positions, and if they want to come, you shoot them to pieces. And that is exactly what we saw Mafia do. Yeah, Darkside, once again, I think tactic-wise, it did not end up working out. The opening looked kind of okay, but as soon as Mafia recognized what was happening and were able to blow up the double 50B for no immediate punishment or reaction possible for the team of Darkside, that is once again where, you know, Mafia was so far ahead, there was no answer possible.
I think there's 2 things that Darkside could do differently before that game went, like, out of their reach. I think at the start, the 50B, whoever it was, fighting with the CS behind the rock, they should have tried to push him out so the rest of the team could shoot, so that guy would get deleted immediately. And I think the 50B that ran away through the bottom side should have kited around Donut and ran back towards middle where the rest of his team was. I think that would have given them a chance to get back into the game. Would it have changed the outcome? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. My bet is on likely not. But maybe Himmelsdorf is there.
Come on, Darkseid. Just one round. Just one round. Come on.
Yeah, maybe Himmelsdorf is their backyard where it's going to go a little better for them than Cliff. So Darkseid realistically already fighting for survival here, as they do bring, once again, a lineup that we haven't seen in this kind of form from any other teams yet. It is going to be E100, triple IS-7, 1-1 B Batchat, and for 30U, 3 IS-7s is very much out there once again.
Yeah, this is some random battle meta strats. Triple IS-7 platoons. Doesn't quite work as well in Onslaught. It's not a tank I can say that I think is very good in the meta. Just like the ability that the IS-7 gets along with those other heavies, it's kind of just like a personal crew boost, but the IS-7, it's already a tank that doesn't have the greatest DPM in the world. So I feel like it just gets shredded by most of the tanks that it comes up against. But we'll see what they have in mind. I'd imagine they're going to go straight towards the cap, and that is exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, the IS-7's now marching on towards the cap, and they're going to be hold down there, so good enough for them. As Mafia are going to watch this opening, we'll see how their reaction goes. And yes, this IS-7 DPM that is horrible goes to kind of bad with the crew booster, as we see, I think, an Inspire come through. Obviously, those skills do accumulate, so the DPM on the IS-7s could actually be kind of okay, as Darkseid now with the HP advantage here, even though they had to expose more for getting on towards the cap. We do have a 430U on the rails for Mafia that could possibly deliver resets, as Yuzek is currently trying to hold at the front in the 8 line, is going to commit in a little bit, and I think that is an E100 with the big gun that we just saw there by Yuzek. Absolute Giga Chat as Conrad does engage Vladislav on the hill. The cap does get reset by Barkis, and I think that sounds the bell here. The attack sign for the IS-7s of Trash Panda and Dries. They're starting to move forward. Hellmind into the fray as well. Barkis hard pressed here, but does make it in towards the cap, which is out of the focus of the enemy tanks. Peeks out and does get a blow up, I believe.
Yeah, Darkseid forced into very compromised positions here. The Batchat 1v1 Comrade does manage to win that one out. Now we've got Dreamer pushing down the 8 line, down the banana towards Kono. They are going to be able to pick up this kill, but is it going to be enough, because they're losing everywhere else across the map? The 430 used from the side of Mafia are just over peeking in towards middle, picking off the remnants of the cap pressure that was applied from Darkseid, and they're running out of guns once again, and that looks like it's going to be probably the end of the round. But still, the HP is kind of close. But if you look at the guns in the game, it's just overwhelmingly in favor of the side of Mafia right now, and they're just going to group up and push onto these 2 tanks that are isolated. Strike comes in as well. That's going to hit both tanks, and the HP starting to dwindle for these 2 guns here. Yuzek now pushing towards Shocker. It's going to force him into the fight, going to try and bait the shot so that Comrade can get some involvement. Dreamer falls in the meantime, and it's just 2 guns left for Darkseid. Nothing to be done but get farmed.
Yeah, and I think I have to correct myself, unfortunately. All the E100s in the battle having the small gun on themselves. But yeah, for Darkseid, even more unfortunately, this is going to mark the end of the match here, and without any points once again. So Mafia, after a round number 1 that, well, they had to play against a January meta, shake themselves quickly, accept and appreciate what they're up against, adjust, and get the clean sweep 4-0 after. With Darkseid once again back to the drawing board, and for them it's starting to look really grim.
Yeah, I would say it looked pretty bad before today even started, off the back of what we saw in Phase 1, and this result only just confirms that they could be in for a pretty tough time for the rest of Phase 2. All I'm going to say is, paid actors. They put it all into one game, and then they just gave up. That was it. That's what I'm going with.
Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes you just gotta go with what your heart tells you, and in my case, that was a 4-1 today. That's gonna be netting me another 2 points in the prediction game. But yeah, let's first of all take a look at the damage numbers. And well, those IS-7s, once again, the DPM, if you activate the crew booster, it goes from horrible to tragic. And that didn't save it, together with Katsunk, that does have top damage here. I guess he, like some other players that we did saw today already, was able to keep his gun in play while he was keeping his tank out of trouble. But against the concerted efforts of a team of Mafia today that have looked, except for one round, sharp, on point, with quick reactions, and most importantly, the right calls towards some unconventional openings that Darkseid was playing. Overall, deserved victory. And yeah, that is going to be all she wrote for match number 2 of the day. But we are not stopping there. It's going to be one more match, and today is going to go a little quicker than anticipated. But that just means more action to come for us. The third match, LTP versus Cashback, so it's going to be the Frenchies of LTP that, like Cashback, are struggling a little bit. They started off strong. Well, like... sorry, not like Cashback, like Darkseid. They started off strong in Phase 1, like Darkseid, but they fell off a little bit since then, so will they be able to do it against Cashback of all teams? That's going to be the question for after the replays. We'll be right back.
people, and your winners, your Onslaught Legends Series champions will be Cashback.
Mafia are your Fragstore Winter Invitational champions. They take it
24, and the old champion, it is the new champion. Hit and run, the trophy goes. They've done it.
Are you united in
And here we are back again. Get your goat emojis ready as Cashback is playing against LTP. What are you thinking of?
Well, it was a close match last time, right? We have to remember that. LTP, they were the surprise early on in the OLS. I don't think it's going to go the same way this time. I feel like Cashback, they're locked in. They're ready to go. This is where the big teams really start to get going, right? And I feel like LTP, one of the struggles of playing such a long season, especially when it's condensed into only a few weeks, you have to play so many matches. I think one of the things we don't appreciate is just the amount of strategies that you have to come up with if you don't want to keep on recycling. And I think what served LTP quite well in the early stages is that they had these really innovative ideas that they were bringing to the table, which took people by surprise, right? And maybe they just took people by surprise in general as a team, but that's not the case anymore. And I just have a feeling that maybe it could go the same way as we saw with Darkside and Mafia.
Yeah, let's see. Talking about locked in, that lineup by Cashback certainly has been locked in from the start. Once again, only 8 players choosing not to use the mid-season player swap available to swap in no one or someone for no one. Still only 8 players. That is an intense commitment by all the 8 players on the Cashback roster. Community prediction, I mean, fair. 89% coming out for Cashback. 11% for LTP, and yes, in phase 1 LTP were able to give Cashback a run for their money, but I think Cashback have picked up those loose ends by now. They certainly seem to have found their strides. I think they only dropped a singular match in the entirety of phase 1, and they're probably hoping for a white vest in phase number 2.
Yeah, we sound like we're waving the white flag for the Frenchies before this match has even begun. There's always a chance, but the way it's looking before the game has started, they're in trouble. And there it is, every person in Twitch chat's favorite OLS player, the Barbarian, 3.4k average damage, 2.9 KD ratio, 91% pen rate. Most play tank obviously going to be the Fosh B, the trusty Fosh B, just always pumping out the damage in that for the team.
Yeah, I mean, other streamers have fans. He seems to have kind of a cult around himself, and that one certainly is channeling the energy into him. And another star player for a Cashback here, Q Little, with, well, less average damage, but the pen rate's still pretty good. And the thing is, the tanks that he plays, T124 together with Briska, are not that much prone to damage output as the Fosh B. The Batchat can be up there, but even its brutal DPM sometimes just gets trumped by the clip potential and healing probabilities that the Fosh B brings to the table. Map-wise, we are going to switch it up again a little bit. Ensk is going to be first banned by LTP against Cashback. I think no surprise there. Cashback has looked pretty strong on that one. Ghost Town going to be taken out of the equation by Cashback. That begs the question, is Cashback once again saving Ghost Town strategies for the finals? Because OLS Season 1 finals, if we remember back, they were always playing super tactical, and all of a sudden in the grand finals, they literally explode out of a corner and just mop the floor with the opponents. We are going to start off on Murovanka, going in towards Studzianki, a map that LTP have looked kind of meh on, to be honest. At the very least, at the end of Phase 1. Then we are going to again head to trusty old Himmelsdorf, and should it be required, which is a question, then we are going to be paying Airfield a visit.
Yeah, Airfield going to be the tiebreaker. Miravanka being picked by LTP, not a surprise. They had relative success on the map in this Phase 1 game, of course. But like I mentioned, you can't really recycle the strategies in the same way. You're going to have to come up with something new if you want to surprise your opponent. Predictions, no surprises. This time it's the Belgian man who's gone for the 4-0, the ballsy pick. Will it work for him, as it did not for me?
Well, obviously, throwing the curveball out there, I think the 4-0 in this match just about as likely as it was last match, when I didn't want to rule it out of the realm of possibility. But yeah, caster predictions obviously going only one way, and that is the way of cashback. As we do go in towards round number 1 of the last match of the day, cashback on
Mm-hmm.
Miravanka of all things, bringing triple E100 together with a Batchat, a 430U, a Hori, and a Tissak.
Yeah, Liberty's still rocking the Tassak, which is a curious pick because the main reason for bringing the Tassak before was to be able to track those Juggernaut TDs because they had 1 HP of track health when it was activated, and now that Juggernaut TDs aren't popular anymore, the Tassak pick is becoming more of a rarity. It does still have great utility in that it can blind spray any of the points of interest, so it can blind spray the radar, blind spray the strikes, which is very powerful, but as a combat tank, it's very, very weak. On the other side, we've got LTP bringing double light tank, a T100 and an RHM. Only 2 tanks spotted at the start there for the side of LTP, so a good job by the Frenchies for splitting up across the map to deny as much info as possible. Early spotting run from the pile through middle, but we've got a shield going on. The E100 of Twilight is protecting Liberty to guarantee that they get the radar, and they do get the info. Some shots being exchanged, Twilight taking a bit of damage, but that is exactly what the E100's there for.
Yeah, and we've seen that before, actually, coming out from cashback, and it works out once again for them. That enables Nepal, though, to get a pretty deep spotting run, as he's now going to be despotted after the plane runs out. I think he was able to replane Liberty here even, so that Tissak is going to be spotted for quite some time. Liberty using his plane as well. He's going to find Nepal out there. So good guessing game coming out from him. No punish available, however. That being said, I eat my words. Cast a curse coming into full effect. Nepal down towards half HP.
I don't know if he got planed or if he just got normally spotted here. Aching now moving up to get the resets on the cap. M5Y with 12 degrees of gun depression there. I believe Aching is actually using the small gun. There seems to be a bit of debate between the players as to what gun is actually better. I think the small gun gets slightly more DPM. Nepal getting caught out in the open, down to just 1, 2, 3, boom, he's dead.
Indeed, Nepal getting triple teamed here, sent back towards the mountains or the garages. 20 seconds still going on the cap, and Aching indeed with the 360 Alpha gun. He needs to get those resets going against the team of Cashback that have brought it down towards 10 seconds. Zeton once again scared of the artillery strike by the plane of Liberty, and now we see LTP. They need to come in 2 seconds. Synops with the HE reset, so that's going to enable Tankistador and Synops to drive in. Without Foshby and T57, they're going to start to clip out Noxious with that Batchat as well. They're just going to blow up, I said, in that E100. That's a lot of HP, but not enough against 3 tier 10 autoloaders.
This is good from LTP. They're going to try and get this pick, but Barbarian is doing a good job of trying to run away from this situation. They're trying to track him. They don't want to let him run away. Synops may have overcommitted, though. As he falls, Barbarian trades it out pretty well. And now Liberty with the HE clip, and the Tassak is just pumping it into the RHM of Zitin, who's just going to have to accept defeat there and run away because the Tassak from Liberty is just going to be able to reload and pick up the kill. And LTP, they've just about run out of HP in this one. as Little puts in a few more shots. Tankistador has nothing left to do but try and run away, and Noxious just caught in between a crossfire of 3 different tanks. There's nothing left for him to do. Little is going to try and hunt him down and pick up the ram, or he's just going to get the reload off and get the kill, and that's the end of round number 1.
Indeed, a quick round number 1 on Murovanka with the better end for Cashback, and this one wasn't as close as during phase 1, where it seemed like the only thing standing between LTP and victory were, well, they themselves with the plays. This time around, Cashback are going to kick off the match with quite the convincing victory. It seemed like LTP were finding an opening there at the cap with well-timed play with triple autoloader on towards that E100, but, well, after the E100 had died, what was remaining, a full HP 430U against some autoloaders that were pretty deep in towards the clips, and then all suddenly collapsed.
Yeah, the problem is that, like, once they dump the clips, it's all very well and good, but you're taking damage the whole time that you're doing that, and the guys from Cashback, they're all close enough that they can provide immediate supporting fire. I really would love to get a replay and see if Liberty was actually able to plane Nepal, and I think he might have planed Zitin as well, because those light tank trades, ultimately it possibly cost LTP the round, because they would have been able to play the slow game for a bit longer there. Squeezy actually doing 5k in the Ho-Ri, which is quite impressive, because we didn't really see him like be in the midst of the fight for the duration of the game. So clearly positioning well in that tank destroyer to get some good shots in.
So we did see Liberty there with 2k spotting, and I think he was using the plane right around the time when Nepal got spotted. So the likelihood of him having spotted that T100 are actually quite high. And to be honest, I think the faith that Cashback are putting into Liberty, it's not misplaced, first of all. And 2, it's cool to see like a team recognize that they have such a strong LT player that they are willing to sacrifice a little bit of HP on some of their super heavies at the start of the game, just to be able to put their light tank in a position where he's going to be like, all right, spotting tower in towards 1v2, in towards victory in the LT department. So, yeah, good job from Liberty. Obviously being enabled by his team, but that's just what you want to see. Players recognizing the individual strengths, playing together as a team, using each other, supporting each other as well, and just together claiming a victory. And for LTP, that's, after the 2-3 that they had against Cashback in phase 1, this must be a terrifying prospect, because even with 2 light tanks, you're not able to contain Liberty. That's crazy.
Yeah, LTP, Nepal now getting baited into playing Dusak after what happened in round number 1. Liberty going back to the trusty RHM Panzerwagen. We haven't actually seen him play this for a while, but what's more interesting about Cashback's lineup is the double E50M. E50M always been a very powerful tank, but not getting like that much utility compared to some other tanks, but being brought out here, if you can push with those tanks and get the DPM rolling, it's so very dangerous.
Yeah, the E50M is kind of interesting. It's always been like a B+ or A tier in Onslaught, but it's never been like this S tier thing where you're going to see it every round. So let's see what Cashback have planned with their lineup. They're going to beeline it towards the cap here with a lot of people. Liberty is going to drive towards the spotting tower, going to get spotted out by Noxious, who is most likely going to be reloaded rather soon, and Liberty needs to respect that. Let's one go. Noxious is not going to be able to hit the RHM. That's going to be up to Tankistador. That puts 1, puts 2, make that 3 in quick succession in towards the RHM, and Cashback recognize, well, we are essentially committed to this. They have the E100 out in the middle of the map, but everyone else in full aggression on towards Aching here in that MBY that is probably in for a little bit more than he bargained for.
Yeah, Aching perhaps running away a little bit late. They're getting crossfired. That is a good strike, though. Little Pops' ability in the Fosh B. Is he going to be able to live to heal enough of it back? No. Aching picks up the kill, and now Baby is on reload, so Aching is going to be able to survive for a little bit longer and maybe put out a few more shells. Liberty is here to support Baby in the RHM, and that RHM, don't underestimate the DPM of that tank, but he misses a shot, so Aching's going to be able to get another one out, but Cashback have not stopped rolling with the E50Ms. They've overpushed the anchor position in C4 with these E50s, and they're just going to keep on trucking Algier in the E100, sorry. He may have double the number, but they've got so much more DPM than he does.
Exactly, the E100 here completely getting ignored by those E50Ms that instead focus on the more nimble tanks of the LTP lineup. Algier is going to be the last one standing, but not for long, as Cashback together as a team overpush that 1 and 3 line. The double swing in towards the 2-0 on Muravanka.
Yep, another dominant display, and it just goes to show, you know, even though LTP got the info, they knew what was coming, they were still just not able to stop it from happening. Just such is the power of the E50s and the Fosh Bs, and I do think that LTP reacting a little bit slow and Aching maybe not realizing the danger that's about to be posed in front of him. I think Noxious, who was the Batchat that was with him, he should have gone back to A3, A4 in the pocket, so that he could more effectively support his team and then wouldn't get picked off so easily. If Aching runs back to that position earlier, he would have more HP as well. I just think when you get that info so early, I think it's just mismanaged from LTP, but it's understandable when you're under such pressure.
Yeah, and Noxious with a Batchat not even getting the full clip out. Nepal, realistically, in a battle like this, what can he even do in
he did his job. He got the
like,
radar. He gave his team the info.
There was nothing that Nepal could have done. It's just the rest of his team collapsed so quickly around him. And I think for Cashback, it was the perfect way in which they got those Fosh Bs into the game. Like, obviously, it would have been even cooler if they had survived, but both of them essentially doing a full clip of damage and then just enabling the E50Ms and the Batchat behind them to just DPM down whatever's left standing after this first barrage of shots. And this leads us from Muravanka, that was LTP's pick. They're not able to get a single round on the board, on towards Studzianki, Cashback's pick. And let's be real, LTP, they've had a few appearances on Studzianki, but none of them were, like, spring to mind that were absolutely convincing.
No, it's looking pretty dire for them right now. Getting 2-0'd on your own map, which was actually quite a strong map for you, especially in the last game that you played against this team. Things aren't looking very well. I'm more curious, outside of this game, I'm more curious to see what Cashback are going to do, how they're going to evolve their strategy, because we saw it quite a lot last season, where you would push aggressively into the cap circle, and then you would have some combination of maybe 1 or 2 Fosh Bs pushing over the north part of the map, and you sort of force your enemy to come and fight you. But we've seen from Hit and Run that if you react to it appropriately, there is a way to like counter that kind of gameplay.
Yeah, and I think the Juggernaut TD ability nerf definitely plays into this as well, where previously you were able to get V4s and E4s and even E3s right towards the cap immediately in towards very powerful positions. That's not as easily the case anymore, and that's being reflected by the lineups. Only a single one of those aforementioned TDs being brought by Cashback here, together with a double super heavy Baby, bringing out the Centurion Action X, double 430U, and a Tissak. Liberty with the plane, he sees everyone but Nepal. Once again, very good stuff coming out from Liberty. And for LTP, Nepal sees everyone except for Liberty as well. And I think Barbarian got spotted, so essentially the same information available for both teams. That being said, Liberty, I think, got planed by Nepal on the spotting tower. So good job by him, as Synops and Noxious are going immediately to the artillery strikes south of the cap.
This is a very telegraphed play, though. When you see the double 277, you know that they're going to go in towards the dip. So what do Cashback do about this now? Strike has been taken for the side of LTP, but this is 2 tanks committed into the hole. If the fight occurs elsewhere on the map, it's going to be difficult for them to get into the game.
Yeah, and Baby and Tequistador are going to be in sort of a Mexican standoff here, as Squeezy on the cross does take 1,000 damage, almost. That is going to give an advantage to whoever might try and divert and fight. There's a task force that's being dispatched towards the south of Studzianki by Cashback currently. I mean, they need to do something. They need to take map control against what LTP is doing, because certainly you don't want to drive in close against the double T57. Now Synops and Noxious are going to drive up and closer to the cap. They're doing so unspotted. This is a good move coming out by LTP, transitioning in towards the cap. However, Synops, with a bit of an overextension, does take one by the V4, and now I think they want to keep going. The plane does go down, so the jig is up here for LTP. They need to collapse on towards those super heavies, but the 430U actually haven't committed towards the south for Cashback. They're going to be up and available for punishment.
Yeah, everyone's here from Cashback. I mean, they did move towards the south, but everyone's here. They're all ready for this play, and LTP, they thought they might have had an overmatch, but that is not going to be the case. And now they're going to be in some compromised positions. Synops peeking out, little peeking out and trading with Synops. That's always going to go in the E100's favor, having that massive 530 alpha gun. And now the repush coming in on towards Algier. He's been hung out to dry by the rest of his team here in his T57. If he gets tracked one more time, which of course he does, he gets Amaraked as well. Now he's not going to be living in this game, and Cashback are just going to keep on rolling with that advantage.
Yeah, the foot's now certainly on the gas pedal for the team of Cashback that are still behind in HP, mind you, but only slightly, as now the gun advantage should come in. Liberty, though, falling in that Tessak, but that tank doesn't have the highest DPM anyway. However, Baby getting picked up on the outside in the Centurion Action X. That is the Inspire completely gone for the team of Cashback, as LTP starting to respond here. Zitten in that mouse dangerously close towards falling, as Squeezy's getting healed and shuts down that mouse. Equal guns make that one advantage once again for Cashback, that miraculously managed to snatch this gun advantage here. I'm not entirely sure how that happened, but Nepal is going to be a huge asset for LTP moving forward.
Yeah, Squeezy trying to go for a bit of a solo play. He knows how important it is that you focus out this light tank, because the longer this game goes on for, the better it's going to be for LTP. And now Squeezy, Nepal takes a shot there in his RHM, and he's getting peeked on from the side. Good crossfire here from the side of Cashback, and the HP is now moved back into their favor, and they're just crunching on towards these tanks from LTP. They're not giving them any time, any room to breathe, to play the long game with the light tank, which would have been such an advantage. Cashback pushing in and trying to close out this round.
Indeed, and Aka, as soon as he's going to be arriving with a 1000 HP mouse, it's all going to be over, but it is going to be happening even before that. An extremely close round between Cashback and LTP, but I think the individual player skill this time is going to be what's deciding this one in favor of Cashback.
It was a scuffed round from both teams, I would say. I think Liberty got caught in the Tessak in kind of a needless situation. It's not like so bad for the side of Cashback to lose the Tessak, because he's not going to be useful in the brawl. However, if LTP had been able to trade it out a little bit better, then, as I mentioned, they could have been able to play that endgame with the RHM. But unfortunately, LTP, they went close with the RHM, they went close with the Sente X, and that just allows Cashback to push on towards you, because then you have no crossfire left. I don't know if this game would have been winnable for them, but I know for a fact if they wanted to try and play for that endgame, they definitely shouldn't have gone close to the rails.
Yeah, also Algier, kind of unfortunate in that T57. I guess the call was to go forward and seek the engagement, but then the call went to, well, I guess we have to hold here. We cannot push into the super heavies with the 430Us in support. So he ends up getting caught without even doing a full clip of damage. Certainly detrimental towards the efforts of LTP, because imagine 1600 more damage, another clip by that T-57 just being brought out. That would certainly give the advantage in the endgame towards LTP, that come very, very close to taking a round off of Cashback, but yeah, in the end fall short once again.
I think it was the closest round so far, right? So it was more competitive, but ultimately LTP, they tried to make this push that was never actually going to happen because Cashback were more than prepared for it. They were actually rotating. The 430Us were close enough to the north of the map that they could be ready to support their team at any moment. And I think critically they hadn't actually committed to clearing out the south. And I think if you look at LTP's lineup, they kind of knew that they didn't actually need to go there with all of their tanks because LTP didn't really have the means to fight for south control anyway.
And thus, we find ourselves at a 3-0 scoreline match point for Cashback, and they will possibly make short work of it. They bring a triple E100, one E50M, double 430U, and a Tissuck for this possibly deciding round number 4.
Yeah, these DPM mediums, very, very scary prospect. LTP are bringing two of their own, two 430Us. They've got a batch out of Aching, Nepal rocking the RHM again. They're just taking turns switching between light tanks. They're going, okay, you can play the Tissuck this time, I'll play the RHM, and then you get to play it in the next game. So interesting choices there. Planes coming out, 3 super heavies spotted on the side of Cashback. Not too much info for the side of LTP there, but both teams only 3 tanks spotted out. Does he get the radar? Nepal steals one away, and Liberty, overexposing, takes a bit of damage. So early trades and info games in favor of LTP.
Yeah, one of the rare misplays that we see coming out from Liberty. He is going to drive forward now in that Tissuck obviously doesn't know where this light tank from the enemy team is. That most likely has taken the information tower, so has to stay away from the airstrike or artillery strike for now, as Synops doesn't have to do that in the 430U for now. He commits in towards the strike, opens himself up to a possible push, but there is some tanks at least behind him that could support him. He's going to take that strike pretty uncontested as Twilight drives back a little bit in that E100 through the cap just to put some additional pressure, but the pressure is actually going to be happening where we see it right here. They do know that Tankistador currently is on reload. They're going to exploit that, but Tankistador doesn't want to drive out towards the E100 as the triple DPM medium is going to find Tankistador in that T-57 who just starts going down. First blood for Cashback, but the HP once again are still even as Aching on the last on the long reload, but he's about to come off of that.
Yeah, Aching has a very important position here. It's very critical that he doesn't go down for free, but being a batch out, he's so squishy, and all they have to do is hop over the rails, and he's in the middle of the open, so the 430U is going to have a nice, tasty snack there. Synops seems to have found Twilight as well. E100 going to get farmed there. Aching will fall in the batch out, but can his team make moves elsewhere across the map?
Can his team make moves is the question, as Cashback are very much locked in now with those DPM mediums. They have sacrificed most of the super heavies to be able to get this far, but once again the HP are close. LTP are holding on. Not possible for Zeton, however, who drops in his Fosh B. Squeezy and Noxious now locked into a 1v1, with Squeezy only being down towards a one shot, and it is going to be Liberty with that Tissuck. Additional fire in towards the 430U, forcing Noxious back. Barbarian down towards a one shot. LTP, once again, they have Cashback up against the ropes, but they're fighting from a gun disadvantage. Noxious, though, with a super strong hold down position, with little going down towards a one shot.
Nepal is spotted in the open, though. He could be about to take a lot of damage. Takes one, but no one else in position, and Algier just peeks out and picks up the kill. So very nicely done. We're into a 4v4 situation. Both teams have a light tanker very stronger. Cashback are trying to change that, though. They're trying to flank around with Barbarian in the 430U, trying to create some angles, but in the meantime, LTP are pushing in. They actually find Liberty in the Tasak. That's a huge kill for them to pick up in this round. Algier needs to be careful here not to overcommit to this fight. The 430U has a lot of DPM. Noxious, in the meantime, picks up the kill on Barbarian. Ice finds the kill on the E100. Synops now entering into a 1v1, connects the shot. Ice does not, however. So Synops should be able to find the kill there, and LTP look like they're finally going to put a round on the board.
LTP put that first round on the board for themselves, destroying any hopes that Darky ever had of getting his 4-0 prediction correctly. But for Asmov, everything is still up and available for the taking, and the same remains true for LTP, that finally find a way in towards this match where Cashback seemed up so far and so ahead. This third round that we saw just before this one, it was close, and this one finally they managed to get it, but it is going to be a long and gruesome way until they will be able to take home something actually countable.
Yeah, this time it was Cashback who were the aggressors, right? They were the ones making the initial push, and I think the way LTP reacted to it, they were in good positions, and eventually able to convert that into a win, which is not what happened in the previous round. And that's perfect, right? That's exactly what you want to see. The light tanks alive in the end, and the two 430Us being some of the top damage dealers for the team. Both teams actually had the 430Us popping off. Eyes doing 5.5 there, not enough to save his team.
Yep. That was absolutely going according to plan for the team of LTP. I can't help but feel that Cashback were being a little too liberal with the HP on their super heavies, because at the end game, a lot of it had vanished, and still the mediums and light tanks on their team were playing from disadvantageous positions, on top of the fact that Liberty is always going to be playing from behind when it comes to DPM damage dealing against other tanks compared to the RHM that Nepal was playing.
And I think it was a big deal in the end, because Nepal's able to do like 3k damage, and the Tasak, he's just not really able to get anything done. I also think that the way Cashback pushed and where they push when you go over the rails like that, through the north of the map, you have to commit so many tanks to actually make that push work, and then you get the situation where you're kind of locked out from the rest of the map, and you're just stuck in the AB line. You're just stuck on the other side of the rails, and those positions we saw for LTP in the previous game, they just don't work out very well.
So for the third time of today, Himmelsdorf is going to be our map 3, I believe. And maybe for the third today, it's going to be the last map that we see. Cashback trying to finish it off. Triple E100, Centurion Action X, double 430U, and a Foch B.
Meanwhile, LTP are bringing one E100, one Mouse, one T57 Heavy, a 1-2-1, double 430U, and a T110 E4. Again, the 1-2-1 pick. I'd really like... I understand like the statistics of the tank, but I'd really like to know what in particular makes the teams prefer it over other Inspire tanks.
So I guess the plus over the Centurion would be like the platform. It's lower profile. The turret armor, I think, is a little better. Obviously the alpha advantage as well. But other than that, it might also be personal preference. Obviously, with the Onslaught modifier, the 1-to-1 gun is not going to be as bad as Tankistador. Humpity Dumpity over the rock here is going to take one of the E100s for his troubles. And Noxious here bleeding pretty badly on the crossover. Baby already has secured the artillery strike, however, and that is going to mean that the cap pressure that LTP have at this point in time is not really going to mean a whole lot, as Barbarian and another 430U find one of the E100s of LTP to chew from, and the punishment by both sides absolutely brutal. Akka surviving just by the width of a hair here. The 430Us from Cashback now in full aggression, but are going to run in towards a wall, and that wall is called Algier plus Nepal in crossfire as Cashback are trying to close the distance, but are bleeding heavily for this right now, and still the cap keeps on going. I believe the artist strike by Baby hasn't been used yet, not sure, but I think LTP trying to retaliate, but they are bleeding for it as well. Tankista are down towards 500.
Yeah, LTP, they're fighting hard in this one. It looked like they were going to be in all kinds of trouble because they were losing all the map control very, very quickly. We got a repush coming though. Nepal in the T-57 clipping out, and they do manage to find the kill. They combine on towards the Barbarian in the 430U. He's not going to have anything to say in this one. Zitin now needs to make sure that he survives and keeps the crossfire up for his team. Little is pushing towards him aggressively though. Liberty is not off of reload, so he's not going to be able to find that kill just yet. But Cashback, they're pushing hard, they're pushing aggressively to try and find these kills. LTP are doing the same though, they're finding kills on the other part of the map. Zitin is going to have to be sacrificed here. He's not got anything further to say in this one. And as the dust settles, it's LTP in a 5 versus 3 with an HP lead.
Indeed, a 5 versus 3 with an HP lead, but Liberty's still got that for speed. 3 out of 3 connections in the clip so far. He's got 2 more remaining. Activates the ability, trying to mitigate possible incoming damage from A-King. Fluffs another shot here, but does connect the last one on the long reload now with the Force-B, and obviously A-King able to count to 5, knows that the Force-B has at most 1 more shot. Liberty is now evacuating, giving the corner on towards Nepal, who does 1, fluffs the second, fluffs the third one. Is he going to be able to put Little down towards 1 shot? He does get the kill, so Cashback is now fighting with only 2 tanks available against 5. 2 1-shots though on the team of LTP. Will they be able to bring it back? Liberty in the 1v5, but the strike is going to kill one of them, so it's a 1v4. 1 shot goes into Algier. It is not possible. It's not gonna happen. LTP with the second round.
Yeah, LTP with the comeback there. I thought it was looking really, really rough for them there because Cashback just closed the net around them. They just forced LTP to be stuck in the 1-2-3 line, and then obviously the strike is going to come in on the cap. That's another 1.2k damage for free. But I think Cashback just overstepping the mark a bit, just a little bit over eager to try and finish off the game. Of course, Aka lost pretty much all of his HP trying to close distance towards the cap and perhaps jump the gun a little bit, and then we saw the 430Us also over-peaking into the backside of the LTP forces, and Synops doing a brilliant job doing 5.3k. Highest on the losing side, we should say. 5.4 in an E100 is pretty damn nice as well, also with a good pen rate there, but you can see what the problem is. Aka at the bottom of the leaderboard, falling with just barely 1k damage there after he traded so much HP in the beginning. And Baby also not able to find too much impact in the Centurion Action 10 as well.
Yeah. LTP able to just receive the repush by Cashback really well, because you could see the initial opening didn't look too good for LTP. Like, yes, they were able to get mediums in towards the cap, but not without heavy punishment. And after that, Cashback had given themselves a lot of map control. They had given themselves a strike, so they could relax while repushing. They had all the time that they wanted. Keep in mind, like, also in the cap, there are those windows in the holddowns. And yeah, you might not be able to penetrate the enemy tank's hulldown, but you can always double press the 3 key, intuition over to HE, and get the resets that way. So there wasn't really a huge issue as towards the time. It just felt like Cashback were getting ahead of themselves, trying to do too many things at once, overextending, and LTP were able to capitalize on that, putting themselves a little bit closer towards, you know, at least tiebreaker territory, but they'll have to repeat that feat. They need to best Cashback once more to get there.
Yeah, they're going to have to maintain this level if they want to come back in this match, and it's pretty impressive for them to come back to begin with, right? Showing a little bit of fight. We thought they were completely shut out of this game. that last round, it played out kind of similarly to what we saw between W and Hit and Run, where W just kind of overstepped the mark a little bit. And maybe, I think there was one round where W didn't respond to the cap pressure in reasonable time. And I would say Cashback almost did the opposite, where they reacted so fast to it that when they had more time to like close down the angles to suffocate the positions.
Well, let's see if LTP will be able to bring it to tiebreaker. They're certainly starting with an HP advantage because of that double super heavy tank that they're once again bringing. But first of all, let's take a look at that squad of mediums and one Juggernaut TD that's driving it through the middle of the map for Cashback. An RHM and a CS63 are going to be raining hell from the hill, and LTP now not really finding anything in the middle, need to transition somewhere, and they need to do it quickly, as already from the hill the first shots of damage start coming in. Tankistador, the first one to take one to the face, but Algier also taking 1k. And now the problems for LTP are going to become apparent, because what do you do with this many heavy and heavy medium tanks on the lower side of Himmelsdorf when there's realistically 1 to 2 tanks from the hill that constantly will get unspotted because low noise exhaust and constantly will be able to put more shots into you. Little also taking crossfire here now, and for LTP, I mean, they need to make some magic happen here. They need to find an engagement against the tanks of Cashback, but I think those are doing a good job of not letting LTP get too close.
Yeah, Liberty is in a very, very powerful position here on top of the hill. Not only is he able to pepper some shots in pretty much the entire time, but he's also going to have info on exactly where these LTP guns are going. And Cashback have made up their mind. It's going to be Aching, the team captain of LTP. They're going to push on towards him. LTP need to scramble to get into positions to try and cover him before this mouse gets deleted. And as Algier tries to support Aching, he actually ends up taking the brunt of the damage here, and Aching is not going to be long for this world. In the mouse, he's getting shot at from all kinds of different angles. LTP, they're making a reaction, but are they quick enough to support him?
I mean, Aching surviving for what feels like an eternity in that mouse here. How is that man still alive? Algier with a fluff on towards Twilight. That enables Aka to kill Aching finally, and 2 kills on the board for the team of Cashback. Still, though, HP are kind of even as Barbarian getting pushed. He has Synops behind him with the 430U, with the funny button active. Is Barbarian going to go down towards Zitten? No, but Synops able to pick it up once again. Guns are dead even, but Aka pulling ahead. Nepal coming in with that T-57 ability active. The bat shot blows up as well, and that means a 4 versus 4 strike goes down on towards Synops. That is in 1v1 with Iset. Tankistador able to lend a little help. Synops able to kill Iset. All of a sudden LTP with the gun advantage, but behind in terms of HP. Cashback, they need to find kills. Noxious, a possible one on the board here, but that is a V4 they're playing against, and he's able to put down Aka. The return kill on towards Tankistador, however, and Cashback now, Little and Liberty against the world. First of all against Synops, who bites the dust.
Yeah, and now Nepal pushing forwards in his T-57. He wants to cash Liberty. He doesn't want to let him run away. He doesn't want to let him play that long game that we know that he would very much love to do. The problem for LTP right now is that Noxious is a one-shot on 200 HP. He's also available one-shot for the strike. Nepal needs to try and get up this clip on towards Little, but Little's doing a very good job of running away, knowing and realizing that this is the play that Nepal would want to make. And now strike being collected for Noxious. He is collecting it before Liberty though, so he's going to be able to get off of that point of interest and not get striked immediately. But you just can't help but think, unless Cashback misplay a good strike though by Noxious, predicting where Liberty would be. And does he manage to cash Liberty? Liberty spotted in the open. He fires a shot off towards Noxious in the background. He doesn't pick up the kill. Is Liberty going to get caught here? He doesn't connect the shot again on Noxious. He's trying so desperately to just stay alive. Noxious doesn't find the kill, but here's Nepal who picks it up. And Liberty gets caught. A rare mistake again. Noxious is going to get found as well. Now it's a 1v1 between the M5Y of Little and Nepal. The T-57 Heavy has the DPM, and he has the strike. That is a pretty huge advantage. Little with a slight HP lead.
Indeed, this one's going down to the wire. Nepal is not going to connect the strike as Little goes in. He is not one clippable for that T-57 on the long reload. And Little with the next connection here. Nepal looking towards the cupolas, missing the first one,
Oh, no.
missing the second one, and it seems to all fall apart once again for LTP. Nepal not able to deal his clip. Finally, a shot comes out, but it is not going to be enough. It is going to be Little, and he's not going to be too late. He is going to lock in the 4 versus 2 victory. Cashback somehow make the comeback happen on this last round of Himmelsdorf, and they're going to take the full 4 points, but you have to give it to LTP. They were making a valiant stand there at the end, but I think palms were sweaty, knees were weak, and arms were heavy. And at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough from LTP.
No, it was a very, very close match. And in the end, as a start, it looked like it was going to be pretty smooth sailing for Cashback. But LTP, they put up a good fight. There were so many critical points in that last round, and even just the last 3 rounds, including the Studs Yankees as well. There's so many critical moments where it could have swung in either team's favor. And Nepal, if he was able to collect that strike at the end, then maybe he would have had a chance, but it seems doubtful because Little was so close to him, and as great as the T-57 heavy DPM is, he's still going to be on reload for a significant amount of time. I think what helped LTP and why they were able to come back into that one and make it competitive is Liberty, although his position on the hill was so powerful, when LTP, they started pushing in towards the 1-2 line, he wasn't able to find the effectiveness that he would have wanted or find all the shots he would have wanted. And it was like a minute and a half or so where he was just completely out of the game and just unable to affect the battle. Little doing 6.3k in that M5Y, just pumping out the DPM. Of course, with the Bounty Hunter ability, every target that you shoot gives you a little DPM boost.
Yo, says the MVY, as he's going to be topping the board. Pretty a good performance coming out from Little. And I think Cashback, they kind of did the correct move in assuming that over time they were going to lose the battle against the hill position. So yeah, that push coming out from them was the correct call to make. And then once again, just like that Studzianki round, I think the player skill was what carried it over the finish line for Cashback. That slight advantage, that one shot in 10 or 20 or 30 that you miss or that you bounce, that's going to sometimes be what makes the difference. And I think it was twice today in this matchup. That being said, we are going to have the standings after this day 1 of phase number 2. Cashback is going to be quite familiar sight by now, topping the board with, most importantly, a total of 21 points just before Mafia, who have 20 to themselves. Place number 3 is going to be Hit with 18, W with 14, so just 1 win away. And then in places 5 and 6, LTP and Darkside, 2 teams that we saw lose today. For them, it's kind of, curtain call, last call to make anything happen. For them, every single play from now on, they need to think from match to match, and they probably need to win a lot of them if they want to go to playoffs.
Yeah, that top 4 looks pretty formidable. I think the only team where you might have a chance of just edging in front of them is probably W, right? And from what we've seen of Darkside, I don't think it's going to be them. Maybe LTP will be in with a shout of sneaking into that final spot. And getting into the top 4 is not only important for making it into the playoffs, but if you get top 4, you're locked into the next season, right? You automatically qualify. You don't have to play the relegation match that the 5th and 6th place do.
Yeah, that being said, I mean, the teams cannot relax after just securing top 4, because the way that they are going to be placed at the end of the phase 2 also is going to determine the seeding for the playoffs. So there is obviously still a lot to play for. This is why we see the players of Cashback, for example, trying to clutch out each and every round, because each and every point is going to count. Just like each and every token that you collect on Twitch does count towards your progress of being able to claim cool 2D, even cooler 3D styles, Days of World of Tanks premium, consumables, time-limited reserves, and also even a Churchill 3, some call it the machine gun tank. So definitely a lot of cool rewards up for grabs there.
Oh, I'm so hyped to get a Churchill 3. I can't tell you.
I still have it after all those years. I think I somehow got it in a recruitment program, so I've had it for, I think, over a decade now. Anyway, though, that is going to conclude... English is really hard today. That is going to conclude day 1 of phase 2. That's what I wanted to say. And since some people are going to be confused as Darky is not here, we are going to continue drops, quite obviously. And this time it's going to be on this beautiful man's stream who we are going to raid after. So there you'll be able to keep on claiming, and hopefully Moff is going to have some good games as he's going to stream. Yeah, last words, Moff, go to you.
Yep, I will be taking over the janitor responsibility that the Killzone normally inherits, so that all the lovely people can collect their drops. I'll probably be playing quite a bit of Onslaught, and I'll be doing my best not to do any molding at FoshB players, enjoyers. I know they love to do some torpedoes.
Bring in the Year of the Snake fully armed. Open lunar boxes and get resources, vibrant styles, and premium vehicles. The desirable Skoda T56, the futuristic AAT60, the jack-of-all-trades WZ-111 Model 6, the high-explosive Gonzalo, the adorable Meal, the ambushing object Kust, and the new Tier 9 Premium Kampfpanzer Erich Concept 1. You can find each one of these excellent vehicles in lunar boxes.